I know I want that carpet tunnel.
That carpet tunnel.
That carpet.
All right, folks. This comes back to session 2 of Cult, and as we know, it's scary. Yeah, okay. I was gonna let that sit and fly over for what it is. For those of you who've joined in, fantastic. For those of us who are watching torturously at home, we tend to have a delay when one of us is arriving late, and we pull out all the stops. And we know who you are, and by they we mean Mike and only Mike and always Mike. So we're just making this official. I'll let you know that's Mike. That's you maybe notice Mike's not here yet, but he will be soon, and that's good enough. And that's a cat abuse.
Like, dude.
Well, we're catching everything. It's not a game unless a cat is sacrificed, so that's a good thing. All right, so where we're at, guys. Jokes aside, actually they're never aside, but to segue to the next group of them, who has an issue with understanding the relations as we've updated them on Discord? All right. For those who are watching, there are relations in Cult that do matter to the game mechanics. I didn't start with them because I want everybody to get a feel of the character. If you don't know what that means, anybody who makes a character brand new out of scratch does not have a feel for who this character is. It's unfair to ask anybody to jump into a character and be a completely new person out the bat without getting some familiarity with what they're playing. And so I was not as strict, and I was not jumping in and saying, hey, maybe you wouldn't do that. None of that nonsense, because it's about how the players feel with the role given. Now, these characters were also assigned, which means extra special time is given to feel comfortable with it. Quirks, tips, tricks, all that stuff. You want to make sure the players have a chance to work that out and how they want to do it. And so one session, typically a session 0, whatever you want to call it, you let that get out the way, and we did that. However, there should have been a relations chart that they had to say how one feels about the other. Now, my methodology, we didn't do it off the bat because in Cult, they would actually discuss that as they build the characters, right? So you would do a Cult campaign. We're going to go longer than a few sessions. It's more than one story arc. And we're going to work from ground zero all the way up to however far our characters survive in Cult. If you're going to do it that way, the book does outline relations, and that the players would sit down and say, hey, DJ, I want my character to have a pretty extra cool relationship with your character because we haven't done that before. Are you up for it? And DJ's like, yeah, sounds great. I don't have a problem with it. And we know we're going to do that. We don't know what it is. We just set out a game. Are you cool with that? Do you want to do that? And because of that, we would put down our little chart that whatever DJ's playing, I've decided I'm going to make a arc that connects us both in some type of way. Now, here's where it gets tricky. The basic relations only has 3 categories, right? It's neutral. I believe there's like a moderate one. I forget the term. It's meaningful, I think is what it is. Neutral, meaningful, and then, of course, vital. What that means is that at meaningful, this is somebody who's family, right? They're close to you, a best friend, that type of relationship, a romantic interest. Something that is this serious, definitely worth having, but hasn't done anything beyond, hasn't gone that step beyond. Vital is your lovers, soulmates, and something so you can't be without this person is what that gets to. And then the majority of neutral is just that, neutral. These are your maybe not even acquaintances, because I'd say to be a tier below, as I found, but they can be certainly, and however you want to do that. Now, what's interesting about this is relations have to tie to each player character at the table. They have to. It's a must. Now, to do this mechanic, everybody typically is going to have a dark secret that plays Cult, whatever that dark secret is. And only the players know what that dark secret is. So now they got to look at their relations chart, and they get to sit there and not just a relationship chart, which maybe you're familiar hearing it that way. This is relations. And they do it pretty simple. Those 3 categories, and they decide how they feel about each other. Not necessarily does everybody know about it. Now, for this game purpose, I let them see what it is. That's because for a lot of people, this is new. It's also not going to be going a long-standing campaign. It's something they get to see wide open. Also, you're going to get the eye roll. I got a feeling this is why he's been an asshole to me. Why does it keep going bad? Now, we're going to keep this ongoing, and it's on the Discord where we play it, but basically we're going to keep a tally of, if Brentron keeps treating Shannon like shit, Shannon might be downgrading his relationship real quick and going to worse areas, right? And whatever verb you want to say that, not verb, but descriptor they want to put down for the emotion matters too. You can get as detailed as you want to, but the basics are that. Why would you do that? Quite simply, it's so the players have yet another tool to immerse themselves in the role of how they should be reacting and treating one another. That's it. They also do the same thing for NPCs. And this is where I want you guys to engage. It's not just down there to get an idea how you feel towards each other. You may notice I gave you a more advanced chart as well for some of you, where I listed NPCs, where I listed specific plot indicators. And that's a more of the power of PowerPoint. And I built that and threw it in there and so you could see it. I like visual indicators and little wording underneath. And why I did that is so you could see that this is your reactions from game one on how far you got, just in case you missed a step. So in one spot, you have plot, you see what it is and what you were working on, and the assumptions you can make by the end of game session as the ST caught them. You feel free to mod it, I might be wrong, but that's as I put it down, and that's what's there. Now, why I get it to you, because I'm going to kick you the first one for free. That's on the house. That's on you. Once you got that advanced chart, that means that you did something of significance that has altered the plot, and now I put it in your hands to decide where it's going for you. And for instance, I could pick on the agent here, Henry Creel, and this is Brennan. And the fact is that he's interrogated a person, or he's at least encountered someone that was a couple NPCs. Now, how they treated him, how he reacted to them, and what he did to them might be relevant. I guarantee you it is. Maybe not now, maybe later on, but he gives him an indicator in his notes to say, yeah, I met the head of public relations, and she was kind of a bitch. Like, was really weird and kind of in the way and just wanted, it's weird. You know, and he could put down whatever his feelings are, but the trick to these charts is to be succinct, right? It's an emotion and a reason as to why they're there on your chart. That's the recommendation. But it's okay to put plot and NPCs and PCs all in the same chart. Cult does a cool readout for it to show you that. Why I point it out? Anybody playing Cult, anybody playing any game, it's a brilliant way for you to keep log of how you're going to feel ongoing as your character develops, and that's why it's there. So with that said, do you guys have any question about how the mechanic works and about that advanced plot, if you got one?
Nah, seems pretty straightforward.
All right. Part two of this, there was another thing I added, and I want to make certain because Bernogle was a little lost up to an hour. And it was, there's some stuff, info that was thrown at him as of yesterday as I did my prep notes. I do 48 hours out, really, where I prep for a game I'm about to do. That's any game. And in that regard, because I shake the cobwebs off for 2 weeks and kind of make sure I'm lined up and where I'm at. And I got my groove going. Now, part of that groove is to go, okay, player X seemed shaky legs on what they were doing and why they're there, and they may need more definition. Some players didn't need any further direction because they're doing just fine. That's the indicator. If you got more info, it's to hammer home. The goal is communication. If I built the characters, or even if you built the character, I'm showing that this is how your storyteller is seeing what you said you were up to and what you're about. If that is off, read that info, double check now, let me know before we get going so it doesn't interrupt the flow of scene. And so at this point, for what was thrown at you guys, and basically would be under your relationship chart that I sent you, do you have any questions with that?
No, I think I got it now.
All right. Well, with that all said, we're going to start where I do less talking because it's all about you guys at this point. And where we last left off, Shannon, we're going to start with you only because you're waking up in a hot tub. And the feeling you have is that you're on a bunch of Quaaludes, right? You're just kind of drugged. They hit you kind of hard, and you sat down for a minute. You took a weird phone call, and you're not questioning if that phone call even happened. There is an odd symbol you've carved in the bottom of this tub with a straight razor. It's a shaving straight razor. It is a straight razor that you couldn't remember where you put this because you buried it a long time ago. That's the important part. Maybe it's something that slipped your mind and you don't recall that, but you know now looking at it, it is hard being who you are. For a lot of people, they describe waking up in the gender that you have can feel completely alien to you. And for you, it's not just like you're a man who happens to be androgynous enough, close enough to be a woman. It's the fact that you're a human being that feels that you're both sexes. Maybe it's something at birth. Maybe you were supposed to, and you developed into a man instead of both like you should have. Maybe it's that you weren't developed into a man. You certainly don't feel that you're one way or the other. In fact, it depends on your mood. Because of that, I need you to roll keeping it together off the bat to see how you feel upon waking up in this hot tub holding the straight razor.
You got it. Keeping it together.
And just roll it in game. You got it. Right in game 2, fellas. Just a reminder. So what this is that you're actually sad. You feel very much how to put this. Shannon feels that no matter what, no matter how sensitive he is, and it is very he that he's feeling. It's being in high school and the coach was yelling at you that you have to participate in PE, but you don't want to dress out with the guys because you felt some type of way. It for you was a lot like being. You've heard guys talk about it, and some women on occasion talk about watching porn and worried your parents are going to catch you. That's how you felt being in the PE locker room. Like you weren't supposed to see them this vulnerable, and these guys are just getting naked, showering, after PE and whatnot, and that awkwardness is in the air and it's there, and you kept averting your eyes and felt some type of way and tried to keep it under wraps, and many a time you spent just in the shower stall crying. If you're under the water, nobody could see it, and you were in tears, and it was because your level of self-expression, you weren't allowed to do it. And it wasn't that you were weak, it was the fact that what you were feeling is a big emotions, and you just didn't know how to define them yet. And you did what anybody would do in those shoes. You typically found somebody to rip apart socially. It was something you were very good at. And jocks are so easy. And you start feeling those natural aggressive impulses where you're at. It's not a level of brutality as much as it is as you find yourself you just hate the straight razor. This is something your grandfather gave you for your birthday. And for most people, when they were 13, old granddad kind of pulls them aside, pinching the cheek, maybe a piece of candy. Enjoy your cake. Thanks for being around. You got a different conversation. He told you it's a different era, and anyone born in a family like you, well, you got two choices. You could use it on yourself, or you could learn to shave real close. And then he told you could move to Thailand, and you didn't find out what that meant till much later. And just reminds you of a level of hate that you still have, even this far successful in life that you are.
Shannon will he'll grab the razor and he'll fold it back into place before tossing it angrily against the wall. He'll take a look at his hands just to make sure he didn't harm himself and or his wrist. And unless he sees anything, he'll step out of the tub and look down to see whether or not that mark sigil is there. And if it is, he'll stare at it.
You'll stand up and look down, and you can feel it's there. I know that seems odd. Have you ever been in the dark of your room, lights are off, and have to navigate it to go to the bathroom? You just don't have to turn on the light, you just know where things are.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can almost feel them. That's what it's like looking down at the hot tub. Now, the hot tub is slightly murky, as all hot tubs are, because you got that soap and that film, and you were sitting in it and whatnot. And it was bubbly just moments ago. And you can't see it at the bottom, but you can feel it's there.
Shannon will step out and walk over to get his robe and get dressed. All the while, he'll take a look at his cell phone or the phone that was given to him and see if he could find that number that had called him before he had blacked out.
Now, before on your phone, the phone line in and of itself that rings in the room, they're inline. They're built that way. You were something about orientation. It was explained to you that you're going to be here for long periods of time underwater, months of the time even, and that you would have leave of like 1 month and 6, something like that, like twice a year you'll be up top. Very much necessary to the whole terraforming atmosphere of the project. And you were fine with it. Signed up for it. You get your hazard pay, all that stuff. But it was something about the phone lines. They're interconnected here, and like they are on their own system. But there isn't a caller ID. It's like you pick up the phone, dial it like the days of yore, and you just know what room you go to. Now, to be accurate, every room has an assignment. You definitely can look that up. Nothing stops you from pulling out your smartphone, even now, and checking out for your own personal messages. And that's probably the cool thing. Wi-Fi access is down here. They still have it. Miracles of technology. So you easily can send messages to whoever you want to on a personal level. You have contact with the outside world. But they didn't call your cell phone, you realize. This was in your room.
Shannon will try seeing if he could find her in the directory if Clement shows up anywhere.
Now, this is something that is jarring. I'm not going to have you roll. I'm going to have you take a -1 stability due to the importance of your character. Because what you do, Shannon, is that you go ahead and you grab the directory and you log into Yammer. Now, for those who don't know what Yammer is, what Facebook is to the world, businesses, especially big businesses, pay to have an infrastructure built on cloud services to allow them a type of Facebook internally. It's called Yammer. And that's exactly what you're on right now. But this one says Frontier Homes. And when you look at the directory and you're looking in all the logs, you type in her last name, it shocks you that it auto-populates. And her title is President. Out of the United States of Frontier Homes. Has a whole thing on her. Just like you'd expect. However, you do find it interesting. Not CEO, President. And you remember the funny distinctions. The CEO tends to be a business mogul driven by the stockholders, sales numbers, and all that. And a president's more of a hire to be in charge, like a figurehead. A president would answer to the stockholders, of course, so does a CEO. But the difference and distinction is the level of power and control they have. Because a CEO technically and usually has shareholders. He's a shareholder themselves with a higher percentage than the typical. And that's why they take that title. Where a president you would hire to kind of fill the role of a commander-in-chief. It's a lot easier to get rid of a president than a CEO. We're putting it that way.
Right. And Shannon was not aware of this until now, of her presence.
Not at all. It's as if it would be impossible to bring you on board in your capacity without you meeting everybody. And you were meticulous. You would have made it a point for you to meet everybody that was going to be in charge of whatever division is here. You know, there's 5 of them. You know, you have a university. You met the dean. You know, you met the head of PR. You met the head of IT. Maybe not a fan, but there is you forget what they like to be called. There is a housing department that handles all the internals and cleaning and maintenance and upkeep. But they also include kitchen staff and whatnot. Now, you like them because every person here they're top notch. For this project to work, they know things that would blow anybody away in their field. In fact, you're convinced half the housing staff has a degree in engineering. They just know how to fix stuff and work around whatever it is that they need to do. And I'd say probably the easiest are the chefs they hired. You hear about celebrity chefs and all that nonsense. You don't hear about the cooks that support at that level. Because obviously there's not what's the a-hole chef that everybody loves? At least around parts of Illinois, I'm always hearing about.
Gordon Ramsay?
There you go. Everybody hears about Ramsay's eggs and the way he makes steak and all that other nonsense. And there's about 40 other chefs that are his caliber or better that you never hear about because they're happy in what they do and don't need the fame. And that's what it's like. You're meeting those people. They're real. Not saying Ramsay isn't, but what I mean is when you talk to them, they love, cry, have a good time, maybe different personas and personalities, but they are great in their craft. And they all work here. Well, I say all, like the whole world, but you know what I mean. You've met more than a few. One guy, Raul, who is a chef that you're used to speaking with, and why he comes to mind right now, is that he usually knows the dirt on quite a few people in the structure about what they order and don't order. For instance, that's how you know that Lockheed put down he's a vegetarian. Maybe that's only after breakfast, because Raul tells you how he cooks some steak and eggs every day. So if he's a vegetarian, it's only because it looks good on paper. Which didn't shock you, especially about Lockheed.
Right. Shannon will then reach out to Raul. It sounds like the perfect opportunity to do so.
Okay. At this point, I'm going to ask, what's Shannon's intent? You're going to reach out to Raul, but what are we going for?
Shannon's going to ask whether or not Ms. Clemens happens to have a particular dish. Does she order anything? Is she on even base? Is she even on base,
Okay.
I should say.
So what our intent is here is that you're going to talk to Raul to try to get information on her versus talking to her directly.
Correct.
Okay. We'll come back to it because obviously that's what your character's doing, waking up to a very interesting situation. However, let everybody know, this has not been hours past when you left them alone. That's for, Gardner and Aiden. Both of you guys had left and you were given instructions. Do you guys remember what you agreed to do for him or her, depending on how you view him or her?
Yeah, we were supposed to find evidence that Lockheed was actually dead.
Right.
That's where we more or less started stopping game there, as we needed more thought to see what we're going to do. And this left Brennan, of course, you're still in the evidence room. I didn't cut you out of that, but you were piecing things together. And being that it's a couple nights that this game session's going, or excuse me, that the game is taking place, we may have several sessions, just depends. We're going to pick up from there. Now, you guys have left Shannon on maybe a half hour at this point. And as, in terms of finding evidence, you guys went and walked around to see if there's a place that stores bodies anywhere. And you went to the kitchen. And it's at that point that Gardner had his realization, oh, yeah, there's like one place they could put bodies in. It would be in the freezer, the walk-in freezer. There's a medical facility, but nobody dies here. Like you would go up top. If you passed away or there was an accident, they wouldn't store you down here. Well, they might until like the boat comes in or lift of a helicopter or whatever. You don't know how it works. No one you know of has died here yet. This is a first for a lot of people. But with that realization, that's where we're going to pick up. You guys are in the hall, and you were trying to decide what to do next.
Okay. I think Aiden, I think it would be. We at least just need to see, just so we can tell him, look him in the eye and tell him what we saw. What still bothers me is how in the world does he not remember any of this? Do you know anything about that?
I mean, Shannon's a guy who likes his drugs. That's not a surprise to anybody.
Right. Is there
When
any?
you're on-
I
No,
mean,
go ahead.
I don't really understand it too much, except what I take for myself, what it does for me. But
Oh, trust me, I know what you take.
well, I don't understand. Is there anything he is currently using that could cause such a vast memory lapse?
Look, I mean, we could go down the list. There's a whole list of things that'll cause memory lapses when you're dealing in the worlds of high-end pharmaceutical drugs and drugs that aren't pharmaceutical and created in a lab by people who are smarter than me or you. Well, maybe me. I don't know about you. You're an engineer.
I can tell you a lot about this facility and mathematics involved behind it, but I can't tell you shit about pharmaceuticals.
Look, basically what I'm trying to get to is that I don't know why Shannon lost his memory. I might have an idea, but it's a long shot.
Okay.
Well, for Aiden and Lewis, remember your moves here. Having a suspicion where we're used to acting characters or we're not, and we're doing a great job with that. You also are in control of what your characters know and don't. And they call them player moves for a reason. There is stuff you could do in a role if you're trying to learn something more, guess at some information, or do that, what have you, to get ahead further. Because if you notice in Cult, you don't have an extensive list of skills.
Right.
That's on purpose because you're not shackled. You're not limited to what you would do. You know what your occupation is, and you know what you do. So within the limits of what you believe your character should be able to do, that's what you're able to do. And so the roles are dictated. The moves are dictated by you trying whatever it is that you think your character be able to do. So in terms of pharmaceutical, that's the point here. If you feel that with your condition, Lewis, that you wouldn't know anything beyond your own pharmaceuticals, I ask a question to you, Mr. Michelli.
Yeah.
You may take whatever private medicine at home that you're on or that you have there, right? For instance, I have a brother, and in our family, we're no one's embarrassed by us, but they have Ritalin. It's what they do. It helps keep attention and focus. But because of that, they know side effects. They know how to spot it. They know counter points. They stay updated just in case there's a better medicine that comes out down the road. But this is nothing that hinders their life. It adds to it. It helps them get through it. But by doing so, they guarantee you, we research everything. Right, as families are wont to do. It doesn't matter what it is. We look to, okay, so and-so's on this. They can't have this food. They can't have that. There is a baseline knowledge there. It's okay. That's our weird family. You don't have to be that way. But
Right.
would you say that Lewis is an engineer? Is somebody who lets information walk or fall through his fingertips? Or would you say that that's all he does is focus on what he does well and doesn't worry about other experts? Because there is that logic to it as well.
I feel that he probably would try and he's not a socialite. I think he would just try and stay in his own world and just become as close to an expert in whatever field hold his interest.
Okay, fair enough. To the other end, to the flip side, as we'll say it, Aiden, you are someone who very much is in the business to know what does what. To that end, it is up to you, Brandon. You can feign that you don't know, or you can just leave it as it is. And what I mean by that is, if he's willing to believe that you have no idea what's going on or what Shannon's up to or what sort of concoctions he tends to take or ask you for, perfectly fine.
I mean, is there, based off of what I brought, based off of what I know is in the facility, is there a role I would know that would, or a role I could make for?
So this is going to be awesome. Let's look at player moves for a second. Remember that master list?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you look at this, don't look at this as that it's something to say, this is what my character can do. It certainly is that. You want to think of it as we're co-narrating here. So right now, Aiden's standing there trying to figure out what is all that shit I brought in to this facility. And I've brought in a lot, as you well know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being what you have and what you've smuggled in and brought under the wire, got a discount, and your deep connections, this is why you got the job. Because of this, what move do you think you could use to try to see a little more or get it a little more detailed about what's going on? In another way, you've done improv before. How would you improv one of these moves to say that your character has a means to look for the information you think he might know?
Investigate.
I'd agree. But if you had to put in a sentence, what does that sound like to use as an action?
Pulling out a list and kind of going through my docket of things that I know are on board and kind of trying to thumb through in my head, like what could cause what, this has this effect.
Perfect. Give me that roll. We're going to do the investigate, and we're going to see what you have. Now, for you, Lewis, you're sitting there, and for a guy who doesn't know a whole lot about a whole lot, and he's saying that, it's the equivalent of somebody going, man, my job, I can't remember every detailed thing I did that day. I don't know what he could be on. I mean, he is on some stuff, though. The logic to your head goes, well, if you know he's on some stuff, then you know what he's on then, right? And
Right.
as you look at him to do that, he's like, yeah, fuck. You'll see him reach into his back pocket. And it's odd to you that he has a small notebook that he starts thumbing through, and he's checking it out. And he's takes the briefest of moments to kind of look at it for a second, look up, and what we're going to say is that sometimes, just sometimes, it doesn't work as you said. But here in this instance, with this investigation, what question are you looking to answer?
What drug is on board or on the facility that could cause memory lapse?
So here's the thing that you dread, probably the most, and this is why most likely you were avoiding it, Aiden. You know who would know that answer based on what you've brought in. Because the
Right.
better answer is, what drug didn't I bring?
Right, I brought a whole plethora of
You
them.
have connections all the way down to Mexico, and it's frightened you how easy it was to get in bulk some of the chemical basics for some pretty heavy drugs. Now, you may not know exactly how they're made up. You do know how much money you paid people to get you those blueprints. And man, all I got to say is the biofarm facility here is they would definitely know what it is. And so what I'll say is that you can confirm, yeah, he could easily get his hands on it. And it's definitely here. And by the way, it's here in such a way that this stuff is illegal. Like, no company just has this lying around without medical supervision. So there's some drugs you brought that were banned in asylums as to be non-existent that you have a suspicion they've been messing with them to some degree. Can it
Right.
alter memory? Yes. It can not only alter memory, it can alter your mood almost overnight.
Okay. Then Aiden knows what he has to do. He would well, Michelli got up, but he would go to talk to Dr. Eric Weiss.
All right. So the theory
But he
behind
would
Eric. Go ahead.
sorry. Now that he would pat Lewis on the shoulder and be like, "All right, I can figure this out, but I gotta do it alone. You do what you can to figure it out. I'll do what I can." And then that's when he's heading off to see Eric Weiss, if he can, knowing how busy of a man he is and how private his research.
So Bernoulli's a cool, laid-back guy, but Lewis, I want to hammer home here is you're talking to a guy who you knew in high school vaguely. He didn't treat you bad, but if somebody made fun of you, he'd like kinda stand up for you. You just didn't get the impression you guys were tight. You do, because you remember that clearly. It's still
Yeah.
as if he doesn't remember who you are. You get that impression, like maybe he's aware, or maybe he was just like everybody else. You know, you were almost invisible, and that kind of holds. But there's one thing that he hasn't shook that you still get. He is the master of being just dismissive of people. He talked here without any consideration for what you were doing or what you had going on or for what you might need help with. He was just like, yeah, I think he's on. I know who I got to talk to. Yeah, do whatever you're doing. And he just turns and walks off. And you're left feeling like, what a shithead. Like, you definitely do feel that. But then at the same time, you're like, it kind of tracks. That's been him.
Yeah.
But Lewis, what are you doing?
I am going to go to the freezer in the mess hall, cafeteria, whatever they call it, and I'm going to see if I can see the body. Just to, not going to do anything. Just want to see that Lockheed is in fact dead.
All right. In a facility like this, we're gonna have fun with this. Lewis, you're gonna walk into a kitchen in a $1 billion facility, spared no expense to keep people happy, underwater, expert for running tech. You know the game. How do you imagine this kitchen looks?
I imagine something very rather a bit on the kind of futuristic kind of side, but everything is sleek, but kind of similar to that of inside like a naval ship. The chairs and everything are metal, probably. The tables are meant for if spills happen, it keeps everything contained in case there's shifting in the water. So I kind of imagine something next gen, but militaristic in a sense.
And you're not wrong. I'm getting into the kitchen in of itself. It is that, but I want you to imagine that we put logos of these big, huge tech companies all up and down it. And we're going to be down here for months at a time. Comfort's there. And so you have two different sections of this place. There are live chefs who will cook to order whatever meal you're looking to get that are off to one side. And they're right now sitting comfortably. They got this weird colorful beanbag chair set up where chefs are kind of lounging. And there's a whole counter you can walk up to, but they're behind the counter. They have to walk off to the kitchen and get what you want, but it's based on what you're looking for. Kind of cute. You have an app. You have that Yammer set up on your phone just like everyone else. You'd put in an order, and depending on the style of food you have, that chef will walk off to the kitchen in the back to go ahead and make it and then bring it out to you. You've been back there before as an engineer. There are several prep tables and obviously a grill and the cooking that is done in the actual facility. But this is just the front part. And the front part, they add atmosphere. These folks they found are laughing when you get in, having a good time. You can hear accents from different parts of the world that are represented here. They're laughing about latest TV shows, stuff like that. And when you come in, you get the head nod from one or two of them, just letting you know they see you and just you know the process. But they look up for a second, knowing that there hasn't been any order come in, so they still got time to kick rocks and do what they do. How do you wish to approach this?
My idea is that I'm just going to approach them letting them know, hey, I gotta check on some valves. I gotta check some metrics. Make sure that things running out that are operating up and behind them are up to standard and don't need any new maintenance orders.
I like that. We're leading with deception, but it's let's see how well it is. Why I say leading with deception? There's one thing you say that you understand. This facility's been here for like 2 years.
Yes.
In completion, you've been here. There is no such thing as a failure they wouldn't know about. They are underwater by several million metrics of what you know what I mean. If something was off, engineering would be all over this already. They would be told and cut off the section, and it wouldn't be open. So that's hard to kind of pass through them. But let's see if they're willing to just ignore it, because apparently you need to be here to check on something for some reason. And let's see if they just let it happen. And so what we're going to do is we're going to roll your act under pressure. You're just going to do coolness plus the roll, and we'll see how we do.
All right, coolness plus. So that is AUP.
Just put an act under pressure. You'd be good.
AUP. And mine is... Oh, it's coolness. Duh. 0. All right.
So it is one of the head chefs that are here. I say head chef because usually Raul's a no fuss guy. Raul is actually from Italy, despite the name, and you never really got the specifics behind it. You just know that he is no nonsense. Kind of on the heavier side. He's somebody who you've spotted his tattoo as well. Typically, you've seen amongst at least Navy enthusiasts. Looks like an anchor, and then some sort of fish is on it. You think it might be a shark. You've never really stared, but he definitely has it on him. But the most important thing is that he's retired from that life, and he's now very much a fanatic of being a chef. And what happens is you tell him that story, and he just, like what? What sort of circumstance? Because this is, you do your thing, this is our thing, and we went over prep this morning. We went over clean was fine, prep was fine. Breakfast was handled just fine. We had people who got some lunch in and done. There's nothing wrong.
All right. I'm gonna try one more strategy, and I'm just gonna be blatantly honest and see if I can kind of empathize, kind of influence him to allow me to peek in the freezer.
What I will tell you is that you can try that action. Go for that with the influence at a -2. Why it's a -2 is because he politely shut down your thought already. And of course you're going to plead because obviously it's blatant that you need to get back there and see what they have going on. But you're still not honest enough to tell them why. So this seems to be all of where the suspicion's coming from. So go ahead and see if you can influence them.
All right, so... influence others. All right. -1.
So it's -2.
I have a +1. Does it or does it turn it into a -2?
You have a -2 that I assigned, right?
Okay.
For the roll period.
Oh, I apologize.
So it doesn't matter. It's just another -1. We can do that.
Okay.
But for my edification, you said I have a +1 for that roll. Why would you have a +1?
I have on my sheet charisma, influence others, +1.
Okay. So just because that says that, the -2 still applies when we do the roll, right?
I apologize. Thank you for letting me know.
Well, you don't have to apologize. Why I'm saying that is because if that comes up again, that's still with the type of roll that you'd have the +1. I'm looking at your sheet and I do see that modifier. I'm letting you know that. Don't worry about the mechanics other than roll, look at the number, do the roll. And I have them in the back end for a reason, other than to say if there's a plus or minus guidance, I'll take care of that so you don't have to break character to do something.
Thank you.
Sound good?
Yes.
All right. So with that in mind, you talk to him, and he's just like, "Look, guy, like I get you need to go back there. What's wrong?"
Did anybody bring? I know it's gonna sound weird. Did anybody bring like a giant body bag in here earlier?
You'll hear people snicker like behind him as he just looks shocked as he stares at you. Like, why would somebody bring a body bag to the kitchen, amigo?
There's been a murder in the facility. I'm trying to find out if it's true.
He'll look around and he'll just kind of. All right, you say there's been a murder. Okay, give me a second. He'll start walking to the back as everybody else is like. You'll get a small crowd of people approaching. There's been a murder. They'll approach you like, "What are you talking about? There's been a murder. Like, what happened? Like,
He
what's going
kind
on? What?"
all I know is that somebody got killed. I don't know too much details except that there's somebody here investigating it.
Yeah, but is
somebody
is
from?
They're staring at you as you try talking through that, right? You're like, yeah, but it's somebody. I'm not telling you, right? As you're doing that, and they're like, you already told us. Give me a hacked under pressure as you try to keep tight-lipped about something you shouldn't have spilled, and you know that immediately.
Yeah. Let's see.
It's just as you started doing, Lewis. You're like, it's just, I can't tell you. It's just, and immediately you'll hear one of them. Is that why that guy was here? The Coast Guard? He came here with that vet guy, that big guy, right? The big, real serious looking guy. He's like, well, he wasn't that big. Yeah, he's a big dude. Like that guy, like you can tell by the way he holds himself. He knows what's going on. And he goes, what, the Coast Guard? He's like, no, the Coast Guard's actually he looks like a shitty drug dealer guy I knew back in school. What are you talking about? Did you see him with that dangling badge and those Oakleys he walked on board with? Like, you're underwater. Hello. But obviously they're here for a reason. And Lewis's, they're going back and forth, right? It's about 5 people, but they're talking loud enough to where you can see other workers in the back kind of leaning in. This is folks are gonna know, right? That's just, it's done. It's done right here. You didn't tell, like, I don't know, housekeeping on the side who's repairing one of the vac seals or something like that. 2 good buddies of yours who are also in engineering might keep it under wraps. You told people who literally see everybody. They see everybody every day multiple times to get food. This is like the wrong crowd. Like that charisma's there. And they're like, oh, you poor guy. So you're here. Oh my God. Do you think they put him in the freezer? Is what you'll hear them eventually get to. And you're like, oh, this kind of works out. And they're like, oh, we are not dealing with this. As Raul will just kind of come back to the front and goes, hey, I got a phone call. Just calm down a second. Well, look, I'll talk. Let me talk to Shannon. He'll know what's going on. And immediately one of them will be like, you mean she? It's like, what? Yeah, he'll go back to it. Is your put there. But for you, Shannon, your phone call obviously goes through. And Raul, he's in the kitchen, but you'll hear him pick up, obviously not knowing that it's you who's calling direct. He'll be like, guys, the kitchen staff, this is head chef Raul. How can I help you?
Hey, Raul, it's me, Shannon. How are you doing?
Yeah, Shannon, hey, hang on a second. You'll hear him shout just what I just did. And he'll come back to the phone. He goes, Jesus, look, it's kind of weird. We were having a normal day. And I don't know, man. That guy Lewis, he's weird. But you hear this shit about somebody being killed? Is that true?
I heard about someone dying, but I haven't heard about anyone being killed. Why? Who's saying that?
No, Lewis is down here. You said somebody was killed. Like somebody died or somebody was killed. I mean, like either way, someone's dead, right?
Raul, what I want you to do is take a quick look at Lewis. Do you see whether or not his hands or his legs are ticking up and down? Kind of a twitch in his eye.
hang on. Hear the phone get put down. Now, Lewis, you'll see Raul will come walking out, and he'll, he says, "Hey, Lewis, do me a favor. Can you do something for me real quick?" And people now kind of get quiet, as like, "What's wrong?" We're like, "Nah, Lewis, like, can you like hold your hands out to your left and your right? Like an alcohol test. Can you touch the tip of your nose with your finger? One to the other. Can you do that?"
Okay.
Give me a keep it together, Lewis, as that's a very awkward situation to be in under high pressure. Cracks a lot of people, even sober, who get pulled over by the police for being put under such pressures.
Yeah, and he's embarrassed.
Yes.
You said act under pressure again?
Yes.
All right. Any modifiers?
Not at all.
Okay. Ooh. Oh.
So here's the thing. As you're doing this, there's a lot of people laughing at you. Right? You're like, "Yeah, sure, I could do that for you, no problem." And you stick your fingers out to the side, way to the side, and you bring one finger over, and you're kind of like, you miss your chin because you hear in the background, "What a loser! He's still a loser." And it sounds exactly like Michael. You haven't heard Mike in a long time. And you get lost in that thought for a second. Wait a second, Michael here too? Is he here too? And when you look around the room to see who's laughing and who's doing whatever, there's just these 5 people that are around you plus Raul. That's it. But where'd the laughter come from? You're positive it came from the entrance, probably in the hallway as somebody passed. But that's sobering. Michael Saunders was that bully in school. Constantly picked on you. In fact, it was Shannon who got him to leave you alone, however that was. And wow, you forgot all about that. But that guy used to beat you up. You remember in the 3rd grade, he hospitalized you, and he did it with your own toy. It was that metal truck that he just bashed off the side of your head several times, and thought it was the funniest thing because you kept bouncing up. Didn't understand that you were just trying to flee him, and he was too big and dominant. He didn't know what he was doing. And your family didn't press charges for some reason. Why do you remember that now? As you're looking around the room and Raul staring at you with an eyebrow raised, he's like, "Hey, how about you, hey, let's get him a seat right here. You ever been in this beanbag? They're huge, right? This blue beanbag. It's massive. Like, we sit in them all day. It's great for your posture. You can get a nap in. It's good. It's good. Just have a seat."
Okay.
You'll sit down, and it's impossible for you not to notice Raul kind of look at them. And the type of look he gives is one of concern. And you see that immediately. He's like, "Yeah, just sit right there. We'll bring you back some water or something, right? We'll be back." And so walk back to the kitchen, and you'll hear Raul pick up the phone, and he'll be like, "Oh, adios mio, Shannon. This is fucked. Nah, he's more than like he's stone sober. He couldn't touch his finger to his nose tip.
He's
The sobriety test?
He's just nervous. That's all. He's panicked about the situation because he may or may not have to clean it up, and/or engineering might have to do something about it. We don't know the cause of death yet, but he's just a little bit nervous. You know what? In fact, I'll go pick him up. But before I do, I did have one question to actually ask. It's the reason why I did end up calling, if you have the time.
Yeah.
Have you ever prepared any meals for Heidi Clemens?
Oh, Miss Clemens, absolutely. This morning I did. She has well, not the same thing, but it's it's kind of weird. She has an omelet, but it's with liver. It's the oddest thing I've ever prepared. It's sliced liver, rare as you can do it, and I have to cut it in nice thin shivs and then slice it horizontal. I don't know why she needs it that way, but that's what I do. And I fold in an omelet with cheese. I prepare it as good as I can, but let's just say it's not. I wouldn't eat it.
Do you know what room she's in by any chance? I can't seem to find her in a directory and have a meeting with her.
I wouldn't know about that. But if it's anything like we do, I got to remember there's two or three facilities that we only have access to. That's common. Like housing, obviously everybody, but you execs, you have the rooms up top.
You're right. You're right.
Remember that. That's why it takes you 20 minutes to get down here every day and then go back home. I'm down here with the squids and the glow-in-the-dark eels that we get to see occasionally.
That's cute. Listen, if you'd be able to just hold on to Lewis for me for a moment, I'll be right there. Try not to agitate him, but I'll be right down. I'll go ahead and scoop him up, and I'll see what I can do.
Yeah. That's he's not dangerous, is he?
No, but I probably wouldn't press him for anything. Get him some water and speak to him in a gentle tone. That seems to be quite soothing.
Sure.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Raul. I'll owe you
And
one.
he'll. Oh wait, I didn't
Yeah.
finish that. So because she's up in housing where that is, I know that if we have to meet anybody, we schedule the meeting. It's through that local hub. They do that stammer shit, right? You pull out the app and type it in and send them a message, and then they send you a meeting invite, and that'll give you your access for the day. Like for me,
course.
IT comes by my room and drops off the card every time. Oh no, that used to be that. That was the beginning. We got those temp cards. Now they just update your access code. You just use your main card, and if you're meant to go in when you're timed in, it'll let you in.
Understood. Okay. Thank you so much, Raul. I'll be right down to pick up Lewis.
Yeah. And he'll hang up. And I'm assuming you're heading there.
Yeah, but before Shannon does, they'll actually go ahead and search for that switchblade that they threw away, and hold on to it, almost as a defensive measure. And they'll place it. They'll get dressed, put on the suit, put it inside the breast pocket, and proceed towards the kitchen.
And just to clarify, straight razor. I heard switchblade.
The straight
Shaving,
razor, yeah, the
straight
foldable.
razor.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
Right,
good.
right.
That's good.
My apologies.
All right, so we're gonna I did West Side Story suddenly. We got that clarified. But regardless, for Lewis, Raul will come walking back out, and he has this. He says, "Hey, this is a few slices of cucumber. We throw orange slices in the morning. It's pretty good. You got the good. Everyone will tell you it's good to get it fresh. It's not. You want it to kind of marinate for about an hour or two. And if you get it at the bottom, it gets that real refreshing cucumber taste. Go ahead and give it a shot, as they'll hand you this big, tall glass of water, Lewis."
Thank you, Raul. And he'll start to drink it.
And
Who was that on the phone?
he'll just look at you, like whoever called to talk to me.
Oh, okay.
Hey, tell me what's going on, Lewis, because now I'm more than fucking curious. Like, no offense, you came in here and we seen your kitchen. People are dead. Now you're sitting down. You're like, who was on the phone? Like, has someone from kitchen been fucking with you?
No, it's not been the kitchen staff. It's just
Lewis,
I don't know.
Come on, Lewis, level with me. No, he'll sit on a beanbag opposite of you, and everyone else is kind of still away from you because you were like killer, and then they saw you couldn't do a simple, like, they don't know what's going on. And
Mhm.
Lewis is like, "Look, man, you're going through some stuff. I know it. I've seen it before. You drink a little bit before, think you can handle it, kind of hits you rough. We won't say nothing, but there's a reason you were doing all that, man. You want to tell me what's going on, like, for real? Like, you're kind of paranoid."
No, I'm not paranoid. It's just they have somebody from the Coast Guard here, and I don't fucking trust him. I don't trust the damn word he says. But
Why?
he's just got this look on him. You ever get looking at a person, you get that impression that you shouldn't trust them? Yeah, that's what I'm getting from that guy.
Every time I pay my mortgage, friend, right? He'll just smile and he'll just rub your shoulders, like, "Yeah, just I get it. It's hard to see some things sometimes. But why don't you tell me what you've been doing today and what's going on? Just let it out."
Yeah. Well, they kind of started like any other.
Now, I'm going to stop you there, Michelli, because I'm here and you're here. Is Lewis going to attempt to tell him his day for truth, or is he going to make something up?
I was going to put a little bit of both. A little bit of A, a little bit of B. Start with how the day started. It was supposed to be a normal day. And then mention, yeah, there's this guy from the Coast Guard. And then after that, just kind of hide everything else.
Okay, you're just basically boring him with the details of you waking up, washing your nuts, jumping into work, and meeting some old friends. I got it. You don't need to know. You don't need to roll for that. I think omission works just as good. You're not necessarily lying. You're just not giving him that detailed info, and that's good enough. And he, by the way, I'll let you get away with understanding this. He just seems to be keeping you there. You've ever experienced this?
Yeah.
You've been real pissed off for a day, and someone's like, "Hey, man, a complete stranger, like, what happened? Like, it's weird. You two were shouting at each other. Why did you smash that guy in the face? And you're like, just sometimes just can't handle a guy doing what he do, and blah, 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 blah. I've had that experience before. It's not fun, and you feel duped afterward, but you'll notice it the rest of your life, right?
Yeah.
Is that you just gonna sit there and wait, kind of humor him, or are you gonna blow him off and walk away?
It depends. He's at least he's being gentle. So I think that Lewis would be receptive to that. Now, if Raul were to change his demeanor at all, he would definitely excuse himself from the situation.
Nah, Raul's a master at keeping people entertained. It's what he does, right? Because when you're done with your day, he tells you about a challenging cake he has to make. And speaking of cake, as we'll take a moment, gentlemen, we promised. Hi, Mike.
Yes.
How you doing? All right, a temporary break here is good. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mike.
Happy birthday to you.
And many more.
Thanks, fellas. I appreciate it.
We just didn't want you to think that we didn't care. Rather be lost in 4,000 Facebook "Hey, what's up" pages. We'll just do it that way. Thanks for spending your day with us, man. We do appreciate that too. Just FYI.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Colt doesn't care, and we'll get back to that. And so,
It really doesn't.
that being said, we're gonna shift gears. You're waiting in the kitchen. Shannon's en route to come talk to Lewis. This transition's real nice to see what our friend Henry has decided to do with his life as he's surveying the scene. The last tidbit was you noting the equipment's been removed.
Yeah, it has.
Now, I want to clarify specifics. Heavy diving suits, there are 4 chambers for them to be deployed to the water at.
Mm-hmm.
You can see that. You have the open tub of water that everybody's used to seeing in any sci-fi film for diving you've ever seen. Believe it or not, that's the thing. And you would normally have submersible, right? It would be a sub that comes up, boom, ports in, people climb in, boom, they take off. And most likely they do that too. But you also see this is low enough to the ground that someone in a suit can just probably sink to the floor, go for a good walk at the bottom with whatever lives here, provided they don't get crushed. And that's sort of the idea. Being in the Marianas Trench is right there. It's within visual, I should say, the beginning of it. And you can see that. This holds some weight. There is massive stalks of seaweed that you can see kind of swaying in the distance to add to the ambiance of you looking out this window. But really, you could care less about that. It's what's inside that's the most important. And it's the fact that those suits have to be, about 100 pounds?
Mm-hmm.
4 of them, and did they plug in? And you can see there's a whole wall of outlets where it looks like something charges up there. They even took the batteries out of the wall. Like, they were thorough. Like, they stripped them, didn't want them there, but yet they left the blood. Right? The blood, the mess that was there. Obviously, they came in and got the bodies. You know that already. It's how your people operate, right? They came in, took the evidence, did what they could. You don't leave a dead body lying out type of thing. But to come back to the scene, it's relatively left untouched. You're trying to figure out, was that equipment even here when your team originally arrived? And just to help you out, you'll go back because they gave you the actual case notes, right? That's what you have. Like, some of them are copied, but the actual photos are there because there wasn't enough time. And that's because of the rush job this was. You know a rush job when you see it. Someone at the office is terrified because this is a career ender. That's what they call this. If this is a PR nightmare, and if it becomes that, well, we know what happens. So this is why the feds didn't take it. And they're going to claim jurisdiction. And suddenly, right now, you realize that immense pressure. It matches with being at the bottom of the sea. It really does. Now, somebody has either ignored that these suits and some other evidence was probably taken from this room and stored elsewhere, or whatever conspiracy that Henry wants to go with here at this moment. But sky's the limit. One thing for sure, you're not a foolish guy. You're one to look up and see, okay, let's let's look at whatever emails. Let me email the office real quick. Let's see what's going on, what evidence was missed. And very true to point, you will get that the Dr. Shoshana was the VP of Tech, was actually on site when they got here, and she had finished securing whatever procedures there were for the lab prior to them entering under the guise of top secret.
Mm-hmm.
It's a matter of clearance, and we didn't have it.
So wherever that equipment is stored, there's not going to be access to it. Not that easy, anyway. And this is the same person that's been too busy to meet, right? Yeah, I can't imagine. I'm sure they have a very pressing schedule. I'm sure they have a bunch of murders of wealthy family heirs to keep covering up. I do have a couple of conspiracy theories, but I'm going to keep them until I have some shred of thing to actually back that up. Is the veteran still here with me? I do remember him being in the room. I don't know if he left.
He's
during this
absolutely in the
time.
room and hasn't left yet. But if you recall, you were telling him bits of the case, and then both of you stopped because it was odd that equipment was gone.
Right.
Yeah. I ain't ran off. I leave you at the scene of murder. Huh. I would say though. Well, never mind. I don't know that either. More conspiracy.
Yeah, well, that might be whatever you're thinking might be more to the truth. I'm not more. I'm more convinced they just want this done rather than actually finished, rather than it actually figured out.
Well, I mean, let's assume the worst, right? Let's assume they just want it pinned on somebody, and they don't care who. Damn the truth. They got a dead heir. We need to sweep this under the rug and find the patsy. Who could that be? Who benefits?
Mm-hmm. Who does benefit from having him killed? I don't know.
Or at least either from having him killed or from not having it discovered who really killed him, right? Again, if we're assuming the worst, this is cloak and dagger. There's got to be somebody who stands to reap from our job being difficult.
Mm-hmm. I think whoever killed Martin, no, Lockheed, we had trouble identifying all the corpses except for him. He had his ID in his pocket. But you remember what I told you about how he was found, face caved in? The ID in his pocket is how he was ID'd.
Yeah.
Now, that's the part I didn't
brutalized.
tell Shannon, so keep that under wraps for now. But, I don't know. Everything about this rubs me the wrong way. I want to find the rest of that evidence. I want to get to that.
Yeah, I want to go talk to the eye in the sky at some point. He seemed a little invested last time, but we can find the evidence first. It's a higher priority.
Lewis, he was in the room with when we got here. He's an engineer, right? Do you know what he does? Did you catch that? Is he a software engineer, mechanical engineer, or is he about maintenance of Frontier? Point is, would he have access to whatever the hell they're keeping all this stuff?
Well, he's an engineer in a facility like this. It probably doesn't matter what kind he is. I bet he would. I've ran into the type, like, something breaks, you never know where they gotta go. Sometimes I have to go get him. Where is he? You think he won't help us?
I think he will. I think he might. He went off with Shannon, I believe. Let's try to find him.
Yeah. Lead the way.
So for the most part, you guys are heading over to the door, and you notice your first hiccup, getting used to navigating Frontier Homes.
Mm-hmm.
You were given a card, and you'll scan the door and it won't open.
Great.
You'll stand there a second. You'll scan it again. Still won't open. And you'll hear over the intercom, "Gentlemen, this is security. Are you finished with the room?"
Yeah. For now, if you can keep it secure like this, that'd be great. But we do have other folks to attend to.
Sir, the agreement that we had just on here, and when you guys leave, we are purging that room. You've collected evidence. You've got to walk the scene. That will be that. This isn't. I'll tell you what our superior said. We're under strict orders that when you're done with that room will be put back in order.
Well, you seem more knowledgeable and helpful than others that we've spoken to. Let me ask you this: do you know why the suits are missing?
Sir, if you need to leave the room, I will gladly let you out, and that'll be fine. And then after that, you can ask any relevant questions to our the PR president who was here. I can get her back down here. You can ask her directly what happened with that. But she's the one who'll be handling your guided tour amongst the facilities. It's Dr. Tillinghast, sir, if you forgot her name.
Yeah, no. I remember. She was very hospitable. Hey, man, I'm done in here if you are.
Grill will take one last look around the room. We did our rolls last time, Bob. I'm not expecting another one, but he's going to take a look around everything we saw again before heading out.
Okay. So, to let you guys know, investigate is for the moment.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean? You guys discuss a lot. How investigations work is I find evidence, I think about it. However, 30 seconds from now, new insight gets me to look at evidence in a different light. That can warrant another roll. You will govern that. You tell me, in light of all I've heard, based on this theory, I want to see if any evidence, blah, 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 I'll conduct investigate. In other words, you'll use a move to word investigate to tell me what action you're doing.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking is, like, we went around here. We saw some of the blood, like viscera and stuff that was around here. We saw where the killings happened, and then we noticed that there was things missing. This is kind of harder to do. So my idea is, from where we're seeing the evidence, does it appear that anything was removed that might have been like, does it appear as though someone might have had their head bashed in right in front of the suits, and there's like a silhouette of like a leg or something, right? Like negative space where there should be some evidence from these murders that's missing. Does that make sense? What I'm asking?
Give me an investigate. I'll give you +1 due to the files you have in hand of photos taken.
Okay. Investigation. That is. Where are you? Oh, that's easy. Oh, that's good.
There's a weird noise. Oh, Suki. All right, sir. You have a series of questions to ask, and it's a very good roll. What's your first one up that you want? You want to see if you can see this time. Try to be specific, knowing what moves you have.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I did right there, I get the logic overall, but I'm not going to cheapen you by saying I'll answer that question because now you can be more defined.
Right. Does it appear as though any of the evidence, any of the things that I can see that are missing, right, such as the suits and the battery packs, might have been involved in the crime or were just ancillary, like just in the area?
Looking at the notes and what was said from the coroner, they think some sort of pneumatic device that could generate that much force. It's a machining accident, is what they were looking at. Except there's an oddity. There should have been blood everywhere, based on that.
And I'm going to go out on a limb here for a second. There are suits here, and there were obvious charging stations for them, like battery packs. If you're
Correct.
wearing a diving suit, you won't need that. You won't need it unless the suit is powered. Something that's like, They use like exoskeletons in construction projects now, and us being at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, whatever they're doing out there, hauling rocks, whatever, is it possible those suits might have been able to lend to that force?
Like any strong investigator, I'm going to say that you've answered your own question.
Word.
That could you use a suit? Yes, but I'm going to answer it with the evidence that's here. Remember, theory's part of it, but what's here? If they didn't remove the blood, there's no spot that does not have a blood spray on it. Like most of this floor has been covered with it, but that's what you catch as odd. Where the suits should be, you don't see any blood there, which means the suits must have blood on it.
Right.
If it hit everywhere else, it must have hit them. So that much I'll give you. However, the odd part is it doesn't match up what the coroner is saying. Right? One body was found laying down, and the woman's corpse was laid across it. Now, sexual intercourse had taken place of such a graphic nature as to brutalize somebody beyond the point of death. And it was the male. It was to a particular eye socket that you had there as well with the internals. And you're now looking at this. Something incredibly twisted had occurred, but who could have walked up, used a diving suit and some sort of drill, and slammed a guy in the face to kill him beyond all record? Because it wouldn't have been easy, because you've been slow moving, the person been well aware, and let's assume for some reason they're crazy and they're just going to lay there with your theory. Now this suit hits it, and you're looking at it. Blood spray would have hit with that much force the coroner's talking about, because it would have been in real quick and then shot outward. It had to have. It's just like a pop balloon that has liquid in it. Where wouldn't it have gone? So you're looking around to see some maybe on the glass or maybe somewhere higher up, and you don't see it anywhere like that. It's like whatever happened, they bled out on the ground. Did they collect it? It's just an odd stray thought in your head. But that's one question. And so just to make that clear, the evidence left doesn't match up with the coroner saying.
All right.
Bob, I did have one little minor follow up that you.
He has a second question.
Yeah.
Let him get that out before he goes in. Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out what the second question should be. I can't really think of a more defined one. Is there anything weird about what I'm investigating? Yeah, no shit.
Remember, you have analysts as well.
I do have analysts. And that's the team, because I'm now blanking on what analyst is.
So analyst lets you ask 3 additional questions they give out there as an option to broaden your horizons. You can ask which organizations, groups, or people of interest may be connected to this. Is there a connection between this and another event? Or what could a plausible motive be?
Is there another event that this could have been connected to?
Now, it's possible as you go through and you flip through the files and get more specific as you're staring at them. There is something weird. When you got brought in, there were people that were because people assume things when they see other authority coming into an environment that they're not normally there.
Mm-hmm.
You're an external authority coming in to do an investigation, which is what you told security. And one of the things they let slip and say as you were waiting for the PR, Dr. Tillinghast to come up top to escort you around where you had to go, was that you distinctly heard them say, "Oh, are you here to get the Dean Dandridge from Frontier Homes University? Because she's been put in the psych ward. We can't get her out for 24 hours. She's under evaluation." That was let slip to you, and you didn't think anything of it because you assumed that she's not in the file. Who cares? And you got all witnesses involved, and what you were told there were no witnesses. Now, as you're looking at this, you wonder if these two events don't go together.
All right. That was Danbridge. Okay. I'll turn to the veteran. I think we're done here. We can go.
Yeah. Sure. Lead the way. I had an idea, but I think I'll hold that until we get our tour.
All right. So the door opens up, and just as simple as that. It goes from red to green. on the lock reader, pops open the magnetic lock. You guys are able to just walk out. No big deal. When you walk out, there's about 11 people out there. They look like they're from housing. You can see that they have hazmat suits on, all sorts of. There's like a bucket one guy's holding, and it has some sort of pump hooked up to it with a spray. You would think he's there for bugs, but you know better.
Mhm.
This is some pretty sophisticated cleaning equipment beyond that. I'm just giving you an idea. We're not going to list everything. But everybody here is prepared to go in and restore that facility to what they have going on. Before you think anything odd, this is a $1 billion project. This is something multiple investors have. Every second you're here is costing somebody thousands. So there are folks wanting you to be here and get out the way so you can get back to doing what they're doing as they stopped the world, the super project, for 20 or 48 hours.
Yeah, as we get out, I'll hook them the thumbs up, and yeah, well, head on
They'll
out.
go in to do what they're doing. They don't. Nobody tries to talk to you, and
Mhm.
we'll just say that cleaning staff around the world's used to that. What do you want to talk to us for? We're cleaning. Thank you. You have a day. As you go your way. They go in. However, poor Mike. I need. Josh's gonna have to keep it together, sir. It's glancing at the cleaning supplies as folks walk in, and there's something that hits you off about the cart they're pushing in. To anybody else, it would be a normal cleaning cart. To you, maybe more. Do 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 do. All right.
I've made an error. Let's try this one more time.
You don't put a space between the plus and the number.
Copy that.
What is going on is that you're definitely distracted. Is what happens. Is they're going in for a second. It takes you a moment, Henry, to kind of get his attention, and this is why. For you, as you're looking, my dear vet, Joff is going to notice that the last cart that he's pushing in, there's an arm hanging out of it. It's charred beyond recognition. It's all the way down to the bone, and you distinctly see it flipping you off from underneath the trash. It just looks like it's giving you the bird, but it's solid skeletal, and the bits that are stuck there, you can tell that some of the flesh is just dark skinned enough to have been a person. And you immediately get it was your dad. And you could smell the burning fat. You could hear kind of the rumbling of the trash, reminding you of the sound of almost the flames. And a light sweat, develops on your brow. And you haven't thought about that in years as it goes into the room. And it's real. It's real. It's not something that you might have seen. It goes by like Oscar the Grouch pulls that finger right back into the trash as they roll inside. And these people are just going about like whatever you're doing, and this is what they're doing.
All right. Is there some sort of psychosis that I might know of that has to do with being this deep underwater?
Is there you tell me. Then Joff's experiences as being this veteran of multiple tours for the United States, would there be a deep psychological program you went into officer school that maybe you did to help you assess stress?
I feel like there would be, right? Being this far below the surface of the ocean and isolated, even with the other people that are here, just knowing where I am, because I feel like I'm tripping, and I can't imagine why. I haven't ingested anything but tea.
Yeah, you've worked for the United States Navy. In fact, you were trained there. That's what being a SEAL is for part of what you did. And yeah, absolutely. The problem with being underwater for a prolonged period of time, and it takes months for this to happen, is that not everybody can handle that pressure. It's the lack of social contact. It's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You need social interaction in that third tier, and you need it because it affirms your reality. It affirms your place in the world and what you're doing. And having others see you and interact in routine this is all normal to you. And so, there's no reason underwater in a facility this size with so many people that you should freak out at all, because you are meeting your Maslow's hierarchy of needs by encountering people, and you've only been here for maybe 4 or 5 hours right now. There's nothing for anybody can be underwater for a day and not experience any dysfunction whatsoever, unless they went down there with a dysfunction already. Now, that's not excluding some obvious. If you already had a phobia of being somewhere, the typical, use logic, sir.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not going to kill the air here with that, but there is nothing. No one walked by and you're not hit with a label. There's no were you gassed? I mean, you can do this to yourself.
Yeah.
But that's not what's going on. You're just literally staring at this, wondering why it happened. Plus, I would add, it's the fact that not just how real it was, you would have a psychotic break seeing something like that. The reason why you're not is because your character has been through some stuff that is, let's just say, explosions, shooting people, engaging the enemy. That's going to be more traumatizing. However, this is close. Right? This is like you're a sane person, Mike. If you saw a dead relative wave at you and it looked like they were eating Funyuns as you walked past them, and you could smell the Funyuns and hear the crumpling of the bag and look back and there's just a discarded bag of Funyuns in the ground, but no relative. Now, that's not enough to make you run home and say, oh my God, the devil's here, right? You're not going to set yourself on fire because life is meaningless suddenly. But you might be a person to go, it's time to check in with a psychologist.
Yeah, that's actually kind of what I'm thinking. I might need to talk to Shannon sooner rather than later. But Henry, you'll see Jeff unholster his sidearm and pull the slide back and check to make sure there's a round in it, and he's kind of peeking, jittery looking, as if there's anybody extra who you guys didn't just walk past already. He put it right back in the holster. He doesn't leave the.
Okay, all right. Okay, that's very important.
That's
very important. What? What, Porter? Are you okay?
I don't know, man.
Is he okay? Well,
he just pulled out his gun.
I know
at the bottom of the Mariana Trench.
But it sounds like to me what you're saying to me is that Creel is going to look at him and read a person.
Yes. Very much so. Read a person. It's intuition. Good. I really want to know what he's about to do.
Well, I think that's valid. Now, answer the question as honest as you can, Mike. The trick here is, remember, he doesn't know what you're going to do. But you know the assumption because you're here playing the game.
Yeah.
You obviously know the tension you might have given off.
What I would say is he's going to stay ready. It'll be very clear he's hyper vigilant, as if there's a greater level of threat than there should be, even right outside a murder scene.
Porter, I get it. We're under a lot of stress here. Literally under the most pressure anyone in history has been under. What has tipped you off?
Listen, man. Okay, there's two possibilities. The likely possibility, the one I'm okay with, is that I'm going a little bit crazy. It's been a long few years, right? I'm gonna go see Shannon or some other professional down here when we have time. I hope that's what's wrong. I think that's what's wrong. Don't worry about it. You know, I've seen guys go crazy before. They're usually fine till they get home.
All right. Then in the meantime, let's keep something that'll keep your focus. There are I already talked about the stuff that's missing, but there's something else I realized right before we left. When I got here, one of the people that met me here let slip that there was someone that's been in a psychiatric ward under a hold for 24 hours.
Ooh,
That's-
snap. Oh, Joff, roll 2d10. No bonus, sir.
What's the command for that?
Because it might be listed at a disadvantage, it might be called haunted,
No. What I mean is, how do I make the bot give me a 2d10 roll? Is there a move or does it matter? Just no +2, basically, or
It does
no
matter.
plus?
you can just, if that's the case, you can use any move and just do +0.
Copy that. Okay. Got a 5. Yeah.
So, oh man. Okay. You'll watch as Joff, your buddy, kind of straightens up for a minute, starts smacking his lips. Yeah, look here. Here's what's gonna happen right now. What you gonna do is take your cracker ass and go do whatever the fuck you gonna do. I'm gonna catch up with you when I catch up with you. So why don't you step? Because you didn't find shit in a room full of blood, and you didn't tell me shit about what's in the file about nothing. It don't matter anyway. My dumb ass ain't gonna pick it up. So you should know that right now. I'm gonna go get me a donut or some shit. I'll be back. And he will turn and start walking down the hall, and he'll stop a second, right? Because this cleaning crew went in and left that door open because they got to come in and out. Obviously, access to the carts. They didn't bring them all in. And as they're pulling in, he'll look in and go, "Hey, you weird ass motherfucker with the weird goofy lies. Like, I understand you clean up dead folk, but it don't take all of you to do that. How about one of you show me where the kitchen is?" And this motherfucker. And the guy will pause a second and just kind of like pull the hazmat suit to the side, and all this is a filter, right? And he'll like half screw it off and open. He goes, "Look, just all you got to do is follow the sign. You just go where administration is. You'll tell them you're hungry. They'll point to the cat like, we're busy." And you'll watch him hit that guy in a hazmat suit. I do mean he hits him. He stone cold punches him, and the guy he hits
I'm
not
pulling him
expecting
back.
it. When you pull him back, he'll be like, "Oh, just relax." It's like when you go to grab him, it is odd how quick he disengages from you. Like you touch him, and he'll be like, "Don't you ever fucking touch me. Don't you ever touch me." As he'll ball up a fist. Like, "You know what I should do to you? You know what I should do to you right now? You're lucky. Your moms didn't beat you enough, mother." And he'll turn and storm off. Just takes off. Now, for you, Joff, you don't really know what's going on. You're kind of lost in the fact that you're in this hall and you just saw that event and you're thinking about it, and he mentions the asylum. And there's something about that fucking... It's that smell. Can't anybody else smell burning flesh? You never forget it. The fat crackling. Your buddy having that gun to your head. You had to sit there and watch. Why did he cook the hand? You guys weren't even starving. And you'll never forget what he told you. He looked at you and said, "Don't you want a cool story when you get back home?"
We're not on the bottom of the ocean anymore, right?
So, for you, we'll pause briefest moment. I'm assuming, Creel, you're going to let him get a sandwich.
Yeah. I'm gonna let him at least not be hangry.
I need to be distinct. Now, I'm going to have to break down a racial byline here. Mike is Mike, and Mike can be a big ghetto, as we all can, depending. But Mike is also the lawyer, right? He's a sophisticated guy when he needs to be. His character has been to officer school, is a retired Navy SEAL, is somebody that still works for the government. He definitely has been comporting himself accordingly with roleplay. What I'm trying to show distinctly, there is a breakdown He is a completely different personality, which you picked up on.
Yeah.
But what I don't want you to think is that he's just angry right now.
No, I don't.
Thank you.
I at least want whatever personality is here now to not be hangry. That's it. I'm gonna pick up this guy. I'm gonna pick him up. I'm gonna offer him a hand up. Check out, make sure he doesn't have like a broken nose.
He certainly does. When you
Shit.
pick him up, it's like he knew exactly where to hit him, and that puts two thoughts in your head. The first one is, this guy is trained to kill people with his fucking thumbs.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you had to fight him straight up, you're trained to restrain the average civilian, blah blah blah. Maybe a terrorist who had a week or two to figure out how to push the red button, right? That's great. You're not downgrading what you know how to do, but you're Coast Guard. That's more or less where you're at. This guy has gone into some places, if the movies are any indicator, and done some scary things. And he has a gun.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless, the guy you pick up is just sort of sniffing a lot. There are definitely tears in his eyes, and people are not running over to help him. That's the one thing I'm going to let you know. He got hit, he got sat down, and everyone else just kind of looked over and then went back to continue what they were doing. That might be the most jarring thing about this event.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really fucking weird. Man, do you need me to like help you get to medical?
He'll just shake his head no. He's like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm good. I shouldn't have. I'm good. I'm good." As he'll try to put this filter on, which is hard to do with the swollen nose. You can see it's broken flat, and he needs to go to medical, and maybe he'll start marching there. But unless you're escorting him, he might actually look like he's going to try to go back to work.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna try to escort him back. Like, no, you're not good. That mask isn't gonna hold up.
All right. If you've lost any stability, which by my count you haven't, this would give you an additional one. You can go over here.
Okay.
This is called, I'm not going to say bravado. You have an aura. You feel heroic here. And so that's what that bonus is going to be like, is you put +1 stability down just in case you lose one later on.
Okay.
You can take it from there.
I'll just note it here.
All right. Now, you won't know why, for Senor Joff. You will be an admin. Sitting down. You got a pack of Cool Mild, which you've never smoked. And you don't know where this came from. It's about 4.5 cigarettes, because it looks like they're all broken. Maybe you could make 4.5 cigarettes out of it, because you do what anybody does. Any experienced smoker would do. Why do I have smokes in my hand? And what the hell's going on? And when you tap them out in your hand, there's only 4, and they're kind of in pieces. And I don't know what just happened. You're looking around, and no bullshit, there is a half-eaten hot dog, and what looks like tuna fish, just in a bowl, just like your dad used to do. Add the vinegar and everything. Stepdad, actually. Now, he would tell you this whole keep your health blah 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 nonsense and give you this whole spiel. How he'd eat tuna fish every day with vinegar. That's all you need. And he also had a thing for hot dogs, though. A real bad thing for hot dogs. And so when you're looking at this odd placement, it's a hot dog half eaten in a wrapper, and then yet this Tupperware bowl, it's purple, it's tuna fish. There's a fork, like somebody who cared about having a little lunchbox that they brought to work to have it all there. That's what's going on. And your pistol's out on the table. Now, you're sitting at this table in a lobby, and you're at an admin's desk, and there's about 5 people sitting on the other side, just sitting to themselves, looking terrified, looking over at you. What you see, there's a lot of discarded, these people brought lunches. Some brought them in bags. Some had them in what appears to be lunch boxes, and apparently one of them lost their tuna fish, and someone had a hot dog. And that's what you have here, and they're just staring at you.
I am going to finish this food. Well, first I'm going to put my gun away. That's just bad discipline. And then I'm going to try to finish this food slowly enough to think and gather myself.
That's good, because that's just what your stepdad used to do, right?
Yeah.
A bad event would happen. You have his food out. Nobody could do a damn thing till you were done eating, till he was done eating, having his thoughts to himself while everybody waited on eggshells to hopefully not take him off next. That's just how it went in your house. And as you're sitting there eating, the irony's not lost on you. As lose one stability. But back at the ranch, we got Shannon. You're arriving to. Sorry, not Shannon. I don't want to start with you here because I know that's going to be a bit. I want to handle Mr. Grand, actually. Aiden, you're going to go over to the bio facilities, right? And
Yeah.
you want to talk to
Bio.
a certain doctor.
Yep.
Did you have time to read over the material you got there? You ready for that?
Yeah, I read over the material several times. I think I'm ready.
Okay. Why I say that is because the feeling you have, Aiden, is that heading over to his lab, it's not the same. The last time you were here, right? You were somebody who did smoke. That's what you had, and an odd occurrence happened. You dropped off the shipment. Must have been less than 10 hours later. You had an aversion to smoking. Here you were with you had 2 cartons of cigarettes, right? Marlboro Reds, unfiltered. You were happy with that. And why you did it unfiltered is because some days maybe you'll make a filter. Maybe you want to add stuff to it. You are that kind of guy. You're a party guy. And you could do that. Maybe you break them down, roll them up again, however you like. It was just the easy way to do it. And now you couldn't stand to see the smokes, let alone have them and enjoy them. And you walked away from them. It was the easiest thing you've ever done. Too easy. That's not too big of a deal other than odd. Very odd. But you talked to that doc, and all he did was ask you about the shipment if there were any problems. But you couldn't recall everything after that for that day. In fact, you don't remember what you ate that night, but clearly you had a meal. Don't remember where you went or who you talked to, but there are folks who said, yeah, they saw you around. The usual hangouts. You went and shot a few games of billiards, drank a few brews with locals. I won't abbreviate that. And then you went about your business because you're a guy who kind of floats in and out of town. Where you live is the city, but you tend to all sorts of places being as connected as you are. And so where you find your leisure is where you do. That was the last time you talked to him alone. Well, now here you are walking into his office, and his admin is sitting out there, and he'll look up at you and, it's a bit early for shipment, isn't it, Mr. Grant?
Aiden will just kind of chuckle and run his fingers through his hair and just say, yeah, no shipment yet. I just had a couple questions for Dr. Weiss.
Certainly. He's in the lab. Let me page him. I'll bring him out here.
I'd rather speak to him in private if he'd allow me into his lab.
Well, I still have to get him. Procedurally, you don't have access to the facility.
No,
I mean, you
I
could be here.
understand.
Good. Saved me a lot of talking, man. I'm sorry. I'll be right back. Hey, feel free to have any water in the cooler. We can. You want to do Starbucks? We can order you a Starbucks ever brought here.
Nah, I don't need it. It's cool. Thanks though.
Yeah, no problem. So he'll turn, and what you see him do is that his lanyard card does give him access to the back room. Hits you know what this is. Key lock, boom, door opens, steps in, shuts the door. You'll see him walk down these pristine, clean white halls with viewing rooms. These viewing rooms always gave you the chills. You never saw what's down there, but you've unloaded shipment onto a pallet. They've drug it back there for their access to where they're at. And I want to let you know real quick, Bernogle, your character, Aiden absolutely knows how it comes into the facility. It's these big old pallets, they're taped down. They bring them into the shipping section, and then it gets brought down, same as everybody else gets down here. And then from there, it gets disseminated, right? There is a shipping that's handled here for all sorts, and then folks bring it to where it has to go. That's that. You understand this process. There's actual maintenance tunnels used to drop off most of the stuff that's needed to not clog the halls or get in the way. However, a lot of what you've brought here, you've walked through the door. Now, you get why. That nobody asks if you bring it by hand. Right? It's less hands who have a hold of the material that you're bringing to actually interrupt what's going on. And so it's kind of a security thing. But whenever you brought it here, and the doc has always greeted you here, he's always known when you're bringing shipment instead of a visit. So you're not shocked to not see him out here right now. However, when you see Dr. Weiss come walking up, you'll see him take off the gloves. Looks like he's as irate as he gets, this guy, Dr. Weiss, does not ever show emotion on his face. You're not certain this is the type of guy who gets bothered by anything, which is honestly the best client. No questions. They're not bothered by mistakes. They get it. It's going to cost more money, or we can't do it and we have to find other means. But he does not accept failure. You've known that about him before you even started talking to him. It's just the nature of what he does. But nonetheless, seeing him doesn't help you, especially when he looks at his assistant, looks back out at the door, briefly grabs the bridge of his nose, hands his assistant his tablet that he had in his other hand and gloves, and he just comes walking out. He places his hands behind his back as he gets to the door, and this guy actually waits for his assistant to go and store those materials in the lab, come walking out to open this door for him instead of him touching the door to open it to come out to you. And Dr. Weiss will, once his admin opens the door, the admin rolls his eyes, right? Like anybody normal would do. Like if you have a nepotistic boss or whatever, an arrogant, not nepotistic, but arrogant boss who would, I don't touch the door, that's for the help. You would roll your eyes opening the door, as he comes out to bring him to wherever he has to meet. And Weiss will step out into the office, and but there's nobody else there. Like nobody really comes down to the biofarm labs for jack and shit, right? Unless they're employees, because what would you be here for? And when Weiss steps out there, the admin will look up. He says, "Dr. Weiss, I'm gonna go to the bathroom." Weiss doesn't even give him the dignity of saying, "Yeah, yes, no, just begone," is the feeling you get as he walks off, and that leaves you with Weiss. He just stares at you, fixates. You're not certain what he's looking at, but Weiss will stand on the inside of the office, look across from him with his hands behind his back. Mr. Grand.
Dr. Weiss, thank you for taking time out of your busy day to speak with me. I have some questions and some information about the last shipment. I mean, is it safe for us to talk out here?
Would it not be safe?
Just, in my line of business, you always ask that question.
He'll look around and he'll look back at you and clear his throat once. I don't know what it's like being in your business. I do know in a facility with this much money invested, especially in this section, no one's putting cameras anywhere where they don't belong. And more importantly, as far as business between you and I thought you would get by now that you're an acceptable circumstance. This means you're an employee.
Right. Yeah, no. And you guys do pay me very well to be an employee, and I appreciate that. Look, I don't know if we got some sort of snitch going on, but the Coast Guard's been asking me questions regarding the shipments.
How would they know about any shipment?
Well, they don't, but they seem to think that I'm the one who's bringing things in.
Well, you were in acquisitions.
I am in acquisitions, but not nowhere on the payroll or on any document should it say what I'm acquisitioning.
I'm just going to say this out loud because I don't want to assume that sounded as idiotic as I heard it come from your lips. So your title, acquisitions manager. You work in the shipping warehouse as the acquisitions manager, one of them. They make an assumption about a shipment. You think that's odd.
I think it's odd that they're asking me specifically where the drugs came from this recent tragedy.
Now, far be it from me. Do you have a history of being known to be the type of person to do this?
To do what?
That's my question to you. I don't know your past.
I ain't no. If If you're regarding the tragedy, no, that's not me. I'm
He'll raise an eyebrow regarding what tragedy?
with Lockheed.
There's a tragedy with Mr. Lockheed.
Yeah, guys, he's dead.
You'll see him look at his watch, very expensive one, and you can tell it's one of these watches that are more mechanical than electronic. Has 3 different buttons on it. You can begin to understand what it is, but he'll depress one, wind it twice, and he'll open up the glass lid on it. There's a simple, maybe a speck of a dot of a red pill that he'll grab. He'll place on his tongue. He'll close the lid. He'll take a moment and close his eyes as you'll see him chew it slowly. And after the moment's gone, he'll... So, Mr. Lockheed is dead.
Yeah, that's what the Coast Guard's doing here. They're investigating it. Apparently, the guy had a bunch of drugs in his system when he passed.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was trying to figure out why you're telling me this.
I mean, professional courtesy. I provide you with these things and also information, but there is another thing that I wanted to bring to your attention. Well, a question for you more specifically. Shannon has no recollection of any of his time when he was in the dive bell room, I believe it's called. I don't know. That's not for me to... The diving room where you go to put on the suits and jump in the water. I didn't know if any of the shipments that I brought in would cause lapses in memory.
Was that a question?
That was a question, yes.
All right, can you rephrase that as a question then? Perhaps be a bit more direct, succinct?
Would any of the drugs that were brought onto the facility cause Shannon to have lost his memories?
I'm not aware of who Shannon is, but I suppose if they had a predisposed history of any sort of memory loss, I would say yes. I'm not this Shannon's doctor. I can begin to tell you what Shannon's issues are. Am I
Okay.
supposed to know?
No, you're not.
All right. There are over 500 employees that work in this facility, spread across 4 different main buildings from underwater up to the surface. So it would be hard for me to pinpoint every single employee. But I could tell you that in my division, of which I head, we don't have a Shannon. Not at all. That's here. I could be wrong. It is possible that there is a I don't know, a farm technician that I missed, but they're dealing mostly with algae pulled off of the... I apologize. That's top secret. But the point is that what they're doing has nothing to do with administering drugs to anyone here at this facility. Not in a professional capacity. That's different. That'd be domestic. This is definitely project basis. But to tell you a bit about what we are doing here, and I'll be clear. We are testing boundaries of the limits of mankind. Now, you come in here and you insult me with this nonsense. Excuse me. As he'll head over across to the door, an act that does make you a bit nervous. As you'll see when he gets to the door, he'll put his foot by it and stand by it as if to stop someone from coming in. And he'll turn around. The pressure I'm under, I should explain. Are you aware of the regenerative capacity of a starfish?
Yeah, you chop off one of their...
I didn't
limbs.
ask you to share your information, but that you are aware of it when we can get through this.
Yes, I am aware.
Okay. So you're aware of mankind's capability of surpassing his own evolution.
No.
There's an evolutionary theory held by many scientists. Jokingly, they're called the immortals in social media. Big-time billionaires that get together to discover new and inventive ways to preserve their memory, their mentality, their physiological remains, freezing them to resurrect them in a future date. You've heard of these things?
Yeah, like in theory.
So my pressure is that some asshat has contracted, probably an angel investor, a severe amount of money to donate to starfish research for the sole purpose of how to teach mankind to regenerate one finger. I'm going to let that set in. Now,
I mean, being able to regenerate one finger seems like a big deal.
I would say it would be a big deal. Even so, what weighs more, a pound of feathers or a pound of lead?
Well, they're both a pound. They're just more in quantity.
So you're smarter than the person who is paid to take starfish DNA and meld it with human DNA without any sort of evolutionary attachment or breakthrough. Right? They're both DNA, but just because they're DNA does not mean that they go together. You understand?
Right. It's different kinds.
Good. Now maybe you understand what biopharma is, where you may have brought in many things, and I don't know your past. Perhaps you are some nefarious person, as maybe someone has hinted at, that I don't have time to listen to. I pay you for results. You are here for results. So when I sign off on the paperwork to continue paying you your exorbitant fee every month, it is for anonymity, and it's also for you to handle well under pressure. And you think you understand pressure. I'm trying to make a starfish regenerate a human finger, and you think you understand pressure. I am more magical than God himself, and I'm more real than God has ever been throughout history, by that simple fact that somebody has the confidence to throw a stupendous amount of money to put me in the bottom of the ocean to talk to you about a dead guy who I didn't kill. I have nothing to do with being at all with this murder at all. And I am medicated to keep focus, and I am losing my cool, not at the fact of these extraneous events, but I'm trying to impress upon you we're doing so much more here. And I need you to focus.
All right. And Aiden will kind of like brush himself off, and he'll be like, "Okay, I'm focused."
All right. For the scene, as we'll conclude at least the verbiage at that point, is there anything Aiden would like to do other than take the scene as is?
I'd kind of like to read a person here to see if he might know more than he's letting on.
I assumed maybe you might.
What is it for read a person?
It's rap, not rop.
Oh, that would make way more sense.
You may ask one question.
I guess is he lying about not knowing Shannon or the situation with Lockheed?
So are you asking about the situation with Lockheed or about Shannon?
Okay, with a situation with Lockheed.
Okay. So I'm going to have to define that, be specific. Is he lying about the situation with Lockheed? What about the situation? Because I could easily cheat this question as well.
Is he lying about not knowing about Lockheed being dead?
Yes. And I'll tell you exactly how you know it. He paused, looked at his watch, took a pill, and then told you an exuberant story. And this guy hasn't said so much as maybe 4 words to you before in the past. It's been you received a shipment, you drop off shipment, you received cash in hand in an envelope, and you've walked your separate ways. He's never bothered talking, but you've never pulled him in a situation either. You stopped by to ask him directly. Maybe that changes everything. But you know he's lying about this because you also noted his emotional state. It's as if it unhinged him a bit. You got him off of his center, and then he reestablished it. And how he reestablished it is convincing you that you're a moron.
Right.
But what I'm giving you here, it's not. I'm saying that Brandon, you are not a moron. Aiden
No,
is
I
is
know.
Aiden is a con. You are a con artist. That's the criminal occupation. This guy is not. He's a scientist. And so, what any good con knows is that if you're going to tell a lie, there should be some truth to it. It needs to have some truth to it to settle in the brain, so people don't know what went on. They don't know specifics. This guy didn't even acknowledge that. Oh yeah, he didn't say something like, "Oh yeah, I had heard a rumor that so and so might have died." He didn't say anything like that. He just literally was like, "So starfish and fingers," and went right around it, which is how you know he's trying to con and he's not fit for it.
Right. Just trying to get me onto some other subject.
Now, due to the nature of how this goes, you also know that he may be very well aware that you're onto him. And that would be by his actions. Like he's getting more hostile, probably because you're still there with him. And that's that part of that fear that you have of this guy. You don't know what side of the fence you're on with him. It's becoming more apparent that you feel awkward. I won't say in danger, but you definitely feel awkward. And you really hope that admin comes back.
Right. For the last thing, Aiden would like to, after he's like, I'm focused, I'm cool, he's gonna be like, one last thing. Have you used that caffeine I brought in for anything yet?
With that, he'll have a slight smirk. You have a good afternoon.
Aiden will put up his hands and be like, you too, Doc. And then start heading out.
Oh, Aiden, I forgot. 88.
88?
Keep it together, sir. Keep it together.
And Aiden will head out.
No. I need you to roll keep it together.
Oh, keep it together. I thought he was telling me to keep it together.
That's me saying keep it together. So, you're scared. You're scared, and I'll tell you exactly why. Once again, you blinked several times. You're sitting down. The admin's at his desk. You're got a bottle of water in your hand. The doc's not even in the room. He's not at the door. Not at all. There's a simple red mark on your palm. It feels raw, and there's a little drop of blood, maybe. We've all had shots before. You've never had one in your hand, and it feels raw, like it's bruised. Because anybody who's ever had a shot in their hand on top knows that's what happens. Soft flesh right there. It's a shitty way to hit a vein, and most people will try anywhere else but that. You're a guy who's been involved in drugs. Any druggie tells you the same thing, but there's some desperate people with collapsed veins. You get a vein where you can't.
Mm-hmm.
You feel lucid. You don't feel jacked up at all. Oddly calm, and well hydrated. You don't know exactly what's going on. It's been maybe what time did you get here? You didn't check. And as you're looking around, you look at the admin, you can tell that this guy is sitting at his desk eating. It's a small salad. It's a lot of the corporate thing, right? Has his protein bar, which is open and half ate, at the computer, typing away, still eating a salad. It's an at work type lunch thing. Not a care in the world, but he'll look at you and he'll be like, "Oh, do you need anything, Mr. Grant?"
So wait, just for my clarification, am I waking up?
Yes, and you should feel just as awkward as I've described it. I didn't describe you sitting down. I didn't describe how you got there. I didn't say anything. You said 88, and then you're sitting down, bottle of water in hand, and time is just as jarring for you as it is for your character, Aiden Grant.
So for the admin, Aiden's gonna look at him and be like, "How long have I been here?"
Mr. Grant, you've been here for around 10 minutes?
He'll look around, open the bottle of water, take a drink, stand up, and then leave.
Mr. Grand, you need your prescription before you leave. I just need you to sign off on it. We were waiting to get the. We still need to get it approved.
My prescription?
Right. You had headache medicine? Said you had a migraine? That's what you came in here for? So the doctor cut you a shortcut? I mean, after all, we're friends, right?
Yeah. Yeah, sure. And Aiden will walk over and just kind of go with the flow here.
You go with the flow, and if you've ever been to a pharmacy, you know what this is like, right? He takes some information, hands you a sheet of paper, you sign off, or a receipt, you sign off on the receipt, you see the doctor's signature there. So this guy had time to fill a prescription of whatever the hell this is. And you can tell that at least the reason for you coming in for the visit is put down there is having a migraine, severe migraine pain. And apparently that's what you get the prescription filled out, or you sign off for. And he'll look at you. He goes, just everybody in the facility, we have insurance automatically covered. It's just, you're going to have to go to your room tonight. When you do, they'll drop off, just like they always do, your prescription at the door. It'll take roughly 2 hours to fill. Try to avoid any bright lights. If they start getting that severe again, just go to your room, lay down, inform your boss. We've already sent ahead the receipt letting them know that you'll be taking the day off for what you have going on. But, oh, that's right. You're in acquisitions. You have your own schedule to keep. No off days. It's rough.
Yeah, constantly burning that midnight oil.
Hey, if you weren't doing it, we wouldn't get a lot of things around here, right? So I appreciate that, Mr. Grant. But you have a nice day, and I hope your headache gets better, buddy.
Yeah. Thanks. You too. Tell Dr. Weiss thanks for the script.
He'll just nod his head, smiling.
Then Aiden will leave. Now assuming that this is what it's gonna say on paper for why he was there. So
with that, Shannon.
Yes.
Obviously, time dilating differently here as we're getting through the scenes. But you come walking into the calf. I'd say in about the 20 minutes to get you down, another 8 to get over. Close to a half hour as it gets as the crow flies. There's about 10 or 11 people in here, a different shift crew. By the look of it, they're all maintenance. Stands to reason, right? Maintenance is the ones who would be the working class, or the ones who chomp at the bit to get that time cut just right, to maximize their lunch, right? To get in there and just anytime their feet are up. And it's pretty cool. A couple guys have their boots off, feet are up on a chair. They got this cool beanbag set up for the chefs over there on the side, and all of them are kind of up and back in the kitchen doing what they do, except for Raul. Good old Raul is sitting with Lewis still. And you can hear Raul finishing up some anecdotal story about the difficulties of cooking with quiche down here and how they fails to rise in the oven under normal circumstances. And clearly, either Lewis doesn't know how to cook quiche or what it entails to be in a quiche, or the simple fact is Raul is not caring and it's just killing the air. And you feel that might be what's going on. But without you needing to read shit because you know Lewis so well, Lewis doesn't buy into it, but he's being polite. Raul's being polite to keep up the charade of a conversation going.
Right.
But when you walk in the room, just the sidebar conversations you could hear. Man, it sucks to happen to Lockheed, huh? I heard he got killed. You'll hear that immediately. And someone's like, oh, no, I heard it, like maybe he's not dead or whatever the hell it is. Yeah, but I didn't see him all day. I was wondering about that. He's normally up our ass with that weird ass memorandum. Remember, he get on this thing and do his meeting, like, oh man, hey, it's Shannon. And you'll hear that said a couple times as you come walking in, and you know why they're that way. Some get coy, others are kind of apprehensive. One guy just shake his head to see you walk in, and you obviously have no problems getting over by Lewis and Raul.
Shannon will clasp their hands and look over to Raul. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Lewis, I think it's time we had a conversation. How are you feeling?
I'm not that. I'm having those issues again.
I see. Okay, well then let's go ahead and have a talk out there. Raul, thank you so much for taking care of Lewis. He's a good friend of mine.
Yeah, anytime. Raul will lean in and give you a hug. and he'll kiss you on the cheek. You know what that is. To remind you, Raul, and when he kissed you on the cheek, you remember. The guy is of Spanish descent. He's lived in Italy most of his life. He's traveled abroad. You know, he learned a lot of the shorter to cook style, as he calls it, by touring America, going to the heartland as it is. And one of his favorite things is that he bonded well with a lot of the Mexican community. Tex-Mex is a thing, and he got used to cooking that. And he told you this story many a times. And why you remember it is because Raul is quite possibly the most boring person you've ever had to. He doesn't have problems. Raul is a good person. Like, if there's a good egg, it's him. And so the politeness of kissing you on the cheek, as he's commented to you, it's basically people he's familiar with that treat him like family instead of having a handshake. It's nice for him to feel more like he's at home. And it's, you know, it's a kiss in the cheek, it's a single thing, men or women. Let's familiarity be shown. And he's proud of it. And I'll be like, you know, thank you. I appreciate you. If you could. I tried, but people are going to be people. A lot of folks heard him talk some type of way.
I understand. Okay. Well then, Lewis, shall we?
I don't think Michelli heard you.
I did not. I was just about to go. Wait, could you
Right,
repeat that, buddy?
Sure. Shannon, when Lewis, shall we? And they'll motion towards the exit.
Okay. He gets up and starts walking ahead of you.
Shannon will
Raul
catch up.
walks to the back as you guys are fine as you get out to the hall.
As they get out to the hall, Shannon will look over to Lewis. What's going on regarding them thinking the situation with Lockheed is of importance?
I went up to medical and thinking that maybe they are using one of the empty rooms to keep Lockheed, but no. Then I recalled this facility we don't treat things that way. When somebody's gonna expire, when they're getting to the ends, they take them to the surface beforehand. So I thought, well, the next place that has the conditions to keep a body preserved was in the freezer. So I tried to talk Raul into, just standard maintenance stuff, and well, he didn't buy that. So I tried being direct with him. And
When you mean direct, how do you mean direct?
I told him, hey, I'm trying to find out. Okay. It's embarrassing, but I asked him if anybody had brought a body back.
Continue.
And that's when I started. I think I might be having another episode. I started hearing things and started feeling nervous, and he asked me to do this weird. He asked me to tell him, to show him that I wasn't drunk or anything, and I got myself all worked up, and I think I messed up.
Mr. Michelli, you need 2d10, please.
Yep. I just roll regular, just move, right?
Any move.
I'm sorry, what was that, Brennan?
You can make any move.
Okay.
No, like you have to do like keep it together or something. Just
Oh,
an identity +2 or whatever.
Gotcha. And then all right.
That is that. Okay. As you're staring at Shannon, and you realize you said what you said, you very much see Shannon just stare at you and is giving you that look. It's a look maybe you were hoping to see, just it's really inappropriate right now. It's very hungry, very lustful. Gently licks his lips. It's her. No, it's her. It's her. You know how it is. She knows how to put on the moves. as you see that. And it's the way she's gauging you, right? It's checking you out. You're demure, you're kind of shy, you kind of feel like you messed up, and suddenly, and you remember this acutely from back in the day, that's her turn on with you. You act pathetic, or it's not an act really, but that magical night when you felt that you had failed. And that's not what happened at all. And she, for the first time, gave you the confidence, the sacrifice of her own flesh to build a bond with you. And that's what this is again, only you're looking around and you couldn't possibly go in the maintenance closet like she said. I mean, it'd be better if you guys went in the maintenance tunnel, right? For you, Shannon, he looks at you completely different. Like mid-conversation, right? He's like, oh, that's what I did. And you see him blush a bit. He's like, I don't know, I guess. And walks over towards the maintenance hatch. It's clearly marked for it. And he starts rotating the wheel counterclockwise after he slapped it with his badge so he could unlock. And he's like, I guess I just did, maybe your room would have been better, right? As you'll hear him say that, that's what you hear.
Lewis, what are you doing?
What do you mean? You said, shouldn't we go in here?
No, that's not what I said. I was specifically asking, how did they know about Lockheed?
I didn't say anything about Lockheed. I just said the body.
Shannon will pinch the bridge.
I wouldn't say anything. I wouldn't. And this is when his voice gets low and he gets really, really close to you. I wouldn't say anything about Lockheed. I just said, hey, something happened. There was probably, I heard that there was a possible murder. And I just wanted to be certain about it. I didn't say anything.
I would like to read Gardner.
Certainly.
As their voice or his voice starts to go pitch high up.
Gardner, are you trying to resist being read?
No.
Okay. Yeah, please. Read away, Shannon. I do believe what I will say, you're very much going to get this. As Shannon is sort of kind of checking you out, it's a different look this time, Lewis. It's more, oh man, maybe you misread her. This is a different look. This is definitely, oh no, he's he right now. He's he. It's judgmental. It's like, oh, you fucked up. It's like he's blaming you for something, and it's all over his face this time. And oh, you get it now. He thinks you, oh, like you're gonna actually come down here and risk him getting in prison by telling. Why would you do that? Why would you Why does he doubt you so much? That's what you're left with feeling.
Okay. Dude, and he kind of takes a step back, throws both his hands up. Dude, I'm Shannon. I'm sorry. I wouldn't. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. And Shannon will put a hand on Lewis's shoulder. Then help me in this way. You have access to Lockheed's room, yes?
Assuming means probably not, but I do have an override. Yeah.
Good. Take me to Lockheed's room before anyone else gets there. At least we'd be able to see if we could help sort the situation out before anyone else gets me into trouble. You don't want me to get in trouble, do you?
No. I wouldn't want that. Okay. He turns back to the maintenance hatch and he starts to undo it again. This is a much faster way, and nobody will have any idea where we're going to be going directly.
Okay. And Shannon will follow suit.
All right. you get in the maintenance hatch, and I need you to give me a violence roll. This would be good old Lewis as
Gotcha.
Shannon. There is something that you have felt for a long time that you wish you could obey about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, you have to see the very worst circumstances for you to be in to test people you're trying to help. Help I use in quotations. And you clearly want to get into Lockheed's room. You definitely know he has access to it. That's obvious. That's what you said. But he looked at you so weird before and like thought that why did he want you in the maintenance hall? So it was weird. Nobody's going to be there. It's maintenance. It's not like they keep monitor other than who accesses the quarter and not. And the moment you come in and the door shuts and you hear that lock engage, well, let's just say he tries his damnedest to put his hands on you, and it's quick. Like he tries to grab your wrists and put you against the wall to steal a kiss. To do that really fast, and you hear him say, "Yeah, right here's so good. We can get there. We'll get there in time." Lockheed's room is just after. Let's not wait anymore. You hear him mumble this, but it's in such a fast response to what's going on. To after you are able to kind of stiff him, right? As he goes to do that real quick and it's rapid, you push him away and kind of do a half sit down as you say his name out loud, right? Which is a technique. You're literally like, Lewis Gardner, stop. What are you doing? And you hold your hands up in an alarming fashion, which is a technique to hopefully trigger whatever he's in to realize what he's doing. And it works, Lewis, as you are -1 to your stability, as now you are shook or shaken, I guess is the term.
Okay. So thank you.
What it is, Lewis, is that something's going on and you know you're not right. Now you're certain. Somebody who you care about very much, you're aware of what you just tried to do. It's as if you had no control of it, but you could have swore that's what she wanted. You read the room, this is what it is, and you went for it. That's why she went with you in the maintenance, right? I mean, obviously you could get to where, why would he, and you're a little bewildered, but seeing him on the ground with his hands in the air, vulnerable and scared, that's not what you do to somebody you care about.
Oh my god, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Shannon. I'm sorry. Are you okay?
I need you to take back 5 steps from me, and I'm going to get up. All right, Lewis? You understand me, yes?
Mm-hmm. He takes 6 steps.
And Shannon will rise from the ground. I need you to get me access to that room.
Okay. We can points in the direction where we should points in a general direction. We follow this path, it will get us closer to Lockheed's room. It goes aligned with a lot of the units in that part of the facility.
Okay. I'm gonna have you walk in front of me. I need you to do this for me for my safety and our safety. Do you understand that, Lewis?
And I understand. I understand.
Okay. I am going to let Hayden know that you're with me because he might be able to help us and or contact our friends so that we can take care of this. Do you understand what I'm going to do? Okay?
I understand.
Perfect. All right. Lead the way, please.
But before you do that, do you trust Henry?
Creel?
Yeah.
Why do you ask?
Okay. You know, remember back when we were kids playing what was that game you introduced us to? It's something World.
Fade World?
Yes. I know it was a game. And we were having a lot of fun. We played that game for who knows exactly how long, but Creel, I think, took it to the next level.
Why would you say that?
I remember when we were that police station ritual we were talking about a while back, or with the game. You said we
You mean
had to.
the last scene.
Yeah, the last scene. We had to set up like all these sigils around the police station to complete the ritual. Shannon, I remember when we were talking before we started the scene, everybody had to get their prepare for their part of the ritual, and his job was.
So I need to pause here. Remember
Yeah.
that sentence. Everybody to prepare for their part of the ritual. Remember that so you can resume from that point. What I need Shannon to do is keep it together. Shannon, you have it's a feeling of intensity as he mentions it. You do remember that night. You remember the preparation. The effort of your planning was made after a particular bad night of maybe 2.5 hours sleep, waking up constantly, not knowing if you were waking up in the real world or it was still a dream, of being visited by things. They would never come and talk to you directly to where you could see them. You were in your bed. It was like a night terror. You couldn't move. And they would talk to you just out of the corner of your eye in the bedroom. It's to the point to where you make certain that a lot of the rooms you have are small enough to where whenever you want to turn your head, you can see the corners of the room. No, you're not claustrophobic or terrified of being indoors or any other such phobia. But you can't shake that night. And when he mentions this at this point, you look behind him down the hall. And what you see is almost like pins in a bowling alley. You know, get a strike, that effect, how they're lined up. Instead of pins, there are people in these tall, blackened hoods all the way up. If it was reverse clan outfits, think of it that way. These are distinctly skinned, as if somebody skinned alive black skinned goats, if that were a thing, and they decided to wear these things and stitch them together, patchwork. And they have these long tongues that come all the way down to the chest, except the tongue splits into three. And the tips and the end are not crudely cut. It's as if they were grown that way. And when these things are talking to you down the hall, they're muttering, and you know it's a communication. The problem is the tongues are moving like three fingers, right, towards your direction. And they're all doing it from the person in the front all the way to the back. And it's syllabic. It's Gabrielle. You're not certain what the chanting is. It's a lulling sensation as he starts talking, but it's doing things to you. You feel titillated, excited, turned on. And it's definitely doing that as you're looking past this piece of meat in front of you that has the name of Lewis. You're almost dismissive to the point of he's just a function, if anything else. Still very much in control of yourself, but seeing this for a moment, and it's just a moment off of him saying it, you remember it for the memory it was. It's as if these were the people that were in the room telling you what to do. Are these your people? No, that's right. And then very quickly you're like, this is the cult you made up. This is why it scared you so much. These are the hidden ones. They exist everywhere for people. Everyone has a doppelganger that can't take form while the person in the real world's alive, hence the point of Fade World. They work to kill the real person to supplant them in the new reality as they see it, to escape their hellish existence. It's what they have to live for. It was a steal off of some movie you had, and you were certain that's all it is. And you're almost laughing because Lewis is just taking forever to do this part, right? As he's going into it. And then you realize Lewis continues speaking to the midpoint as you're looking past them. Now, Lewis, why I said stop where it is and mention the ritual for you, you're looking at Shannon, and you're beginning to notice that the reason why you were like shifting between these, no, he's the male Shannon, not the female Shannon, back and forth. You now notice the back of his hair is pulled back, and his hair's long to begin with, but one side looks like it's teased, as if it was going on a night in the town. Beautiful brunette, right? Voluptuous, perfect breast, right on down to a voluptuous hip, all leg down underneath. You could see it just under the clothing. This is Oh man, this is the body you've wanted to put your hands on again for a long time, exactly as you remember it. One half of it. The other half is very much of a fit male, just as he ever was. And you could see that now, and it caused you to pause when you mentioned the ritual and talking about it. And then you realize that she is staring. Oh, that looks back. But you could be wrong this time. Maybe she didn't want you. Maybe it's just weird for her too. Oh yeah, she's drugged. You remember she's drugged. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I remember we all had our part to play in the ritual, and Shannon.
Yeah, the ritual. What you wear for the ritual again? I forgot what I assigned you to wear.
Well, you had me. The point I'm getting to, why I don't trust Creel, is he was supposed to he was supposed to get like these prepare for like lighting the place on fire. Only he actually got gasoline and rags soaked in it. I saw the whole thing. He poured the gasoline all around the place, took the rags and stuffed them into some of the vents and stuff, and he lit the building on fire.
Lewis,
There were people in there.
Lewis, we're here now, aren't we?
Yeah.
I understand this is a traumatic situation. I know it's something that has happened in our past, and we could choose to live inside of it. We could choose to be outside of it. Now, I don't know what Henry's been up to these past couple of years, but what I do know is that Henry is down here with us right now. And you heard him, right, when we were in that office, that he was looking to investigate the situation with Jeff. That
Yeah.
both of them were there, and you remember Jeff as well, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you have to assume, and we have to hope, that they're on our side. Now, if for whatever reason Henry seems like he might tip the other way, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I have to believe that he's our friend and he's going to clear us of this thing that has occurred.
Now, to this end, I'm going to need Lewis to keep it together because you're trying real hard. However, Shannon, you're also going to give me a help roll. You're going to help him keep it together here, which is what you're trying to do. Bring him back to center, help him keep it in, and keep that cool. Let's see if you can do it.
Okay.
So, do I let him roll first?
You both roll.
Okay.
If he wins, it's just going to be a bonus.
All right. Now, in my serious stress state, I get a negative dice on this.
That's correct.
Okay.
But definitely a +2, just FYI.
Okay.
Unfortunately, +2 is not quite enough. It is one more stability, and at this point, it is a fixation. He doesn't get it. What you understand clearly is by what he just said, Shannon just said, he's powerless. Henry got him too. He like what, he didn't do it? He more or less just did that doctor thing where you told him what happened, and like a lot of doctors did. Is it real? Is it real, Lewis? Is this what you're really seeing? Count back from 50. Take several deep breaths, analyze the room. If the monsters are real, they would do something to you. Otherwise, it's in your head. And all these techniques, you catch it for what it is. That's what Shannon just tried to do. You just told him the truth. You saw Henry set a police station on fire, and he was only supposed to pretend to do it. It wasn't supposed to be actual anything. And he did it, and he didn't only do it, he watched it happen, laughing the whole time. And that guy has a badge now? And worse, Shannon's covering for him? Nah, not your Shannon. Your Shannon wouldn't cover for him, but is trying. You get it. It's like you try to tell one friend your other friend's a serial killer, and because you're the one who gave him the handcuffs.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's no way they're going to know unless they were there, and you just you're really fucking it up with Shannon. There's no way. That romance just feels like it's falling through your fingertips at this point, and it's all Henry's fault. It's all Creel's fault. Ever since that freaking police station was set on fire, it's like he's gotten away with murder. And it's because he did. And now he's doing the murder again, only it's to you and Shannon's hopes of a future.
Fucking gonna get it. You don't get it. You don't get it, Shannon. I'm. How can you trust somebody like him? You know what? I'm gonna prove it to you. I'm gonna prove to you that there's something fucked up with him. That, and he has the gall to. What is he like? That's the NCIS of Coast Guards.
You
What
know
does he
what?
get? What
I think
right
it's
does he
better off.
have?
Lewis, I think it's better off that we had this conversation with him present because it's not fair for him not being able to defend himself. And if you're right, you're
Okay.
right. And we will take it from there. But right now, I am going to call Aiden, and you're going to lead us to Lockheed's apartment so that we could take a look and see what we could do there. If Creel betrays us at Aiden's apartment, well, then the writing's on the wall. And once again, we'll handle it when we get there. And you'll be our hero. You get that, right, Lewis?
I'll be the hero. Okay. Yeah. I get it.
Good.
I hear you, Lewis. I hear that you get it. And I'm going to see to it that you understand, too. It seems like you're calming down. You're going to keep it together, right?
Yeah. There's the roll.
And what I'm really trying here is I'm going to help you out here. Lewis is there's a series of mental acrobatics and emotional wherewithal. Shannon doesn't realize it, but Shannon's really not helping you keep it together, right? And what I want to explain, Lewis, is that from the beginning, going into maintenance, there were signs that you were, kind of becoming frayed, and Shannon was here to help, and it was help me break into Lockheed's room. He didn't even tell you why, and you realize right now, more acutely than ever, Shannon's just using you. That's clear. And then you start talking to him about what an evil guy Henry is, and he acts like he already knew. Well, of course he wouldn't have known because he wouldn't have gone away, but now he needs proof, and you can't let him make that phone call, which is why when Shannon goes to grab his phone, I need you to harm him.
Okay.
And the only way you know how, as you're going to attempt to do a violent crime here in the process here, which you won't know the outcome for just yet. So looking at what goes on, and by the way, the reason why I'm not saying anything in the apropos defense here is that this isn't what you think. As per the rules of Cult, since this is our first combat interaction, it happens to be player versus player. Yes, there's wound system and everything else, but this isn't a wound system. When Lewis jumps Shannon, Shannon is not a fighter. That is not what Shannon does. Shannon is someone who is shocked, actually professionally and actually shocked that you would lay hands on her, because why would you? Now, you did before through lust, and let's say it's not Shannon's first encounter with that sort of action and kind of knows a tip or trick or two. It's different. When Shannon grabs this phone and you grab Shannon, turns to kind of throw you out of it, only this time you're prepared for it, and you lift him up, slam him to the ground, and you wiggle yourself on top of him on his back to kind of hold his head to the ground. As you go through this, you can't believe you're saying it. As the adrenaline's peaked, you're excitable, you're not yourself, and you know something's wrong, but no one's letting you catch your breath, and you can only fix it in the fact that Henry Creel is the bad guy. It's this asshole came back, and he's ruining everything. And you just gotta Shannon could just relax and let you show what's going on and make perfect sense. Shannon, you do take one harm. It's not a serious wound, though. This is the bruising as you being put on the ground. But what you're thankful for is even though you were slammed to the ground, your hand is still wrapped around the phone. Though it was sudden, and he's on top and with quite the physicality, and you do know he's trying to tie you up at this point. He's starting to figure it out. He gets his belt off. He's looped it around one wrist as he's holding it in place. And you realize maintenance guy his whole life, doing all sorts of stuff. He's a working class guy. He knows a thing or two about trying to be in these waters. But it's up to you if you want to try to do anything else. But I would advise you to understand and read the room well.
Right.
He snapped.
Right. I would like to use ice cold in conflict, and hopefully that should help me get away from him.
Okay. Would help me with that. How do you see ice cold helping you?
So you keep calm, cool, and in the midst of violence and chaos, whenever you are in a violent conflict, and then it gives me an ability to see if I could perform an edge against them, to kind of escape. Because he's been put in violent situations before. It's not the first time he's been beat up by a jock or anyone else, or even a violent lover, or even Lockheed at this moment.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But per the point of violence, though, just know for this role, if this is done ahead of time.
Right.
And the reason why I didn't give you any heads up for it was because it was almost as if you were oblivious, right? I will point this out to you. Any woman worth her weight in salt can tell you if a guy is getting weird around you and you're alone, you do not go to an isolated place with them for this exact reason. You don't know what they're going to do. And for that matter, I say, woman, really anybody, you should have that instinct. But I don't know. DJ, maybe not your life. You haven't experienced that. But Shannon certainly has. And being in here, you were put off, but you thought Lewis could be kept at bay because of love and feelings and whatnot. You've always known how he's felt about you. And maybe something could have happened there, but you're not, at least this point in your life, you're not into the obsessive.
Right.
At least from him. It's as if he notices too much too soon. He knew that you just didn't care about him, and he caught on real quick in this hallway. And this is like an overture of desperation. You understand. You are a psychologist. You are a person who actually used to help treat people just like this. His psychosis is engaged. If he's in a schizophrenic episode, he's seeing and hearing things you don't even know what he's seeing and hearing. It's very dangerous for you in this moment. But the fact that you were pressing him on and pressing him forward, and now that he's laid hands on you, at this point, you just hope there's no chopping up or blenders in the future of what he thinks he's doing. Right. There have been cases of people, I could help you. If I eat you, nobody could ever hurt you again, right? Because you'll be with me forever. That's a thought that Shannon might have slipped in his head during this process. But you do know Lewis enough to know, there's no way he's going to want to go that far as to kill you. However, physically detain you, that's clearly a different bag of wax. So,
right.
To this, what's going to happen is I'm going to say that obviously you want to get away. Is that the point?
That is the goal.
Okay. Your best method to get away, and you know that, you have to bide your time. You have to see what he does to this situation to give you a chance to get away, because you're alone here. While you're alone, he could beat you in unconsciousness. That's a fact. He can make this situation much worse. No matter what he wants to do, you have to give a little, see what he's doing, to then wait for that opening. And this will entail that hopefully eventually he will let you go, although he isn't at the moment. That's the catch-22 with how this is. This makes sense. Because when Shannon relaxes, Lewis, is you have to. It's either that or resist, and resisting could get you hurt. He lets you bind the other wrist, and Lewis, you'll pick him up, and you're just like, you give reassurance. It's not going to hurt you. Everything's great. And, you wipe the sweat from your face, which, by the way, that is a physiological response to not just adrenaline. It's a break. You get it, Shannon. And he's kind of walking through it. However, Lewis, it is hard to walk through this. In the maintenance tunnel where you're at, just like your ability and probably why you have the job, you remember every inch of this place and where you've been. You do know there's a side access tunnel that is still a work in progress. This goes right to the biofarm facility. Why it's a work in progress is because they never quite got this pump to work. Now, to let you know the particulars about this pump, you didn't build it, but you know its function. It's supposed to make it to where people don't have to go up and down and depressurize every time they're coming all the way to the bottom. To negate that half hour would be huge. But you need a pump to be able to have the whole facility have that pressurized capacity. And so when you initially get here, once you're pressurized in, you'd be good to go. Problem is as you do that and you're heading to that section, you realize that Shannon's walking with you, and there's no emotion. It's unnerving. You're walking with Shannon, and you get now that, oh man, it's getting really weird. Shannon has these weird, almost seaweed-like mixed into the hair. Some sort of weird fleshy appendage drops down every now and again. It's like it drops out of the hair and it tilts the head to the side and it goes away. The walls are not normal. They're rusted. It looks like it's hotter in here than it should be. There's pitting and rust. You can hear the occasional screams down the hall. And you pause to shake your head. And every time you shake your head, really jarring side to side, it's normal again. It's normal again. You're fighting for it. You need to get your meds. You feel that now. And you also got to get to your room. But that's after you store Shannon where Shannon's got to go. To this section, you guys are off to that. And what we're going to say is you're going to get to that hidey hole. It's a series of wires. There's some equipment still sealed away in plastic because obviously workers are going to leave it there until they get the rest of the shipment to finish the job. And you can see that there's a little scaffolding that's out to the side. There's a little bit of dampness in here because, again, they do have to submerge this room. You know that for welding and everything else when it goes on. But right now it's not in use. So you're good for that. He even does one better, Shannon. And this is probably your opportunity. And I'm going to just steal the show and say you take it here to make this make more sense. When he sets you down, you see him walk away and you'll hear him go, yeah, this is maintenance 120354. Don't flood facility, blah, 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 X, just down here doing some last minute touches, things like that. And you'll hear Shannon say, Lewis, just as cold as day. You hear it say, Lewis, you know I love you, right? And Lewis will stop, ignore the fact that he was on live on the radio, and he'll let it go. And that seems to be enough. And Shannon, you know in your heart of hearts that's probably as good as you can do for the moment to let anybody know that maybe things aren't quite right.
Mhm.
Hopefully someone gets curious. Lewis, you completely ignore it. Now you're certain Shannon understands what you're doing, and you're more than ever affirmed that now it's just get Henry. And this makes more sense, right? Just get him here and get him to confess. And you're pretty solid on that. As you kind of Phantom of the Opera Shannon here. You leave Shannon on the scaffolding to sit. You finish tying him to the scaffolding, and you're like, as you walk down the hall trying to get your shit together, but you got to stop by your room to take your meds, and you know that.
Yes.
As you head there. Back to my agents as we've been awaiting. Gentlemen, it's been quite a night. You had your time looking at evidence, getting stuff together, piecing all well and good. A couple odd things are going on. First off, in the hall, you don't have PR there to guide you anywhere, and you're kind of aimlessly walking to and fro. Now, why that's a pain in the ass? You would need like a golf cart to go between the facilities, right? That would make more sense. Like we're talking 2, sometimes 3 miles of actual walkways to get to this place. As the map did show, there's a major hub. That's that up-down platform that they built to bring you in here, right? And that platform has actual segmented parts, meaning, believe it or not, they have some things designed to kind of float, as you saw the design, which made it cool. Like there's a massive flotilla on the surface, and it's decommissioned actual ships from the Navy that were bought off, weaponry pulled off, and a lot of systems up top to notify the weather, all that fun stuff. And then drilling platforms, or at least that's the idea and impression you have. There's about, I'd say, 11 of them kind of pieced around this facility to help stabilize it for weather conditions and to attach further buildings, materials, etc., to help stabilize on down. An engineering wonder. And that's great. However, they're to towers, or where each of these buildings are, to get at different facilities here on the map. And you're, after the second mile you've walked and your feet are a little raw, you're kind of annoyed. You're following signs of like, hey, this way. And it's probably the 15th time you've heard Frontier Homes, building a better future for mankind, right? Shit advertisements annoying as shit as you two are walking side by side.
I understand why everyone down here is insane.
That is why you're kind of scared shitless. It's an innocent thing when you hear and you see a golf cart just right with security on board. You will see that guy Tillinghast. You remember him from the roster? Definitely remember him talking to you on the overhead when you're in that room for a little bit. He'll kind of look at you both, and the look on his face is he's sort of like, "You getting it yet?" As you'll see, he doesn't have any mic on, nothing like that. But he'll look at you both like you begin to understand what's going on here.
Mike looks like he's talking, but I believe he's muted. So
He
I guess
was
he
in
doesn't get
fact
that.
muted. I'm sorry.
Okay, there we go.
Go ahead, Brentron.
Oh, all right. Yeah, it doesn't look like we get anywhere without the escort.
He'll look at you, kind of smiling. So, what? Yeah, I'll. You want to wander the facility willy nilly? Feel free. You can't get anywhere without permission. Well, you want to walk it, you can walk it. But like,
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. I can see that. I guess we figured that out when we scanned the card and had to be let out of the room.
Asylum.
You gonna say something?
Well, no. I was just gonna say we're trying to find that lady, right? We heard she was committed.
Dr. Danbridge.
Right.
yeah, Danbridge, Dr. Danbridge, right? Dean.
Mm-hmm. She's I understand she's under watch right now, undergoing an evaluation. But I do believe she is connected to what happened, possibly another witness.
Yeah. You believe she's her class was in fucking session in that room when the little circus act went on. So yeah, I guess maybe she knows something. You're fucking dude. You're the investigator. As he'll look at you, Henry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chillingus. You said there was a class in session.
Yeah.
When this brutal murder took place in the same room.
She's the dean of the university. Yeah.
Look, university studies. They're here to study, but they're also here to teach. You didn't read the pamphlets, did you? Like you didn't read them before you came. Let me guess. You guys are big fans of crime shows. Like you just don't do your homework. Like, sure. I'll paint by the numbers for you. Frontier Homes is an advanced learning facility to teach mankind how to terraform in places that are inhospitable for life to mankind.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. It's not strange that there's a class taking place. I imagine there's everything you need in society somewhere down here. It's that this murder in front of a class?
No, I think what he's saying is the dean was at a class at the university at the
No.
time the murder
No,
happened.
what I am saying is in that room, she was there. Paint by the numbers, guys. I'm going to do that for you. She was there. Why the class was there is because they were doing diving lessons. Who do you think they want out there taking all the risk and all these fancy suits with all that equipment to terraform in an experimental capacity? Do you think we're going to take somebody with 4 PhDs and put them in a biosuit, throw them out the fucking door, and see if the pressure kills them instantly? You think we're going to do that with them? Or are we going to take homeless people off the streets, provide them with top insurance, medical coverage, and education, those who show the aptitude to fully foot the bill to take the risk, because it's better they risk their life voluntarily than it is to let them be on the streets and be a statistic? I really thought you would read between the lines by now. What fucking place you think does that shit for free?
No, man. You're making sense. That's not the part that's weird. She was in the room. Like what I'm hearing you say is that there was a class in session, and then the most barbaric murder I have ever seen up close took place in the same room as the class that was in session. I'm not misunderstanding you.
Yeah, I didn't see it. There's no recording, but I could tell you who accessed that room 15 minutes before the screaming started. Yeah.
Who's that?
Yeah, the dean.
Yeah, right. Okay. All right.
So on the schedule, 15 minutes beforehand, it was diving practice. Pretty standard. It's going to be 15 people get let in the classroom. The dean brings them in real proud, real PR stunted, the whole nine. They bring in the cameras. They're going to show them the facility, show them what's there, show them what's available. Put on a grandstanding show. I've seen this 1,000 times. You've been watching it as you've been driving past it, right? What a wonderful thing. And they show the thing where it looks like a caveman they pulled off the street. Really, it's just a homeless guy. And it shows the homeless guy get clean and what he looks like in a suit. And then with an education, he could look like a scientist or an engineer or be a new astronaut or whatever it is, because we realize their potential afterward. And it's philanthropic. Bill Gates is on it, right? Of course it's going to work. That's the push. Well, she's the one behind that science, the dean. Brings them in, shows them the suit, shows them how it works, the whole nine. The head of the tech department's supposed to stop. All the heads are supposed to make this whole thing show up and do the whole thing. That's it. That's how it's supposed to go. And then the screaming started. We heard it immediately. We monitor every inch of this facility. And I still cannot tell you. I have top access codes. You can't stop me of getting anything. Nothing. At least I thought. That incident occurred, and I lost about, I'd say, 2.5 hours of footage. I didn't get anything. By the time our security team was even able to act on that screaming, get in that room, we thought it was a glitch. We had no access whatsoever. And when we got there, we saw the VP with a team of guys pulling the suits out. That's it. They were already covered up, plastic, the whole nine, drug out of there, and that was that. And that's, what, I'll be honest, I'll be fair, I've seen the NDAs. That's their prototype suits, top of the line, blah, 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 blah. They have every authority to do that and shut it down, and you got to cut through red tape if you want any access to it whatsoever. Good fucking luck. I've heard all the stories. That's great. I don't care about that. I did see the soup. I saw the bodies get pulled out. I'm fucking scared. And I'm the head of this. And like, you need to step up your game. I don't know what you need to do. I'm trying to help, but there's only so much I can do, and I can't trust my own fucking team.
All right. I got it. I appreciate that honesty. I do, Tillingast. The Danbridge is. Can we, if she was there 15 minutes before?
There's no protocol put in place for us to detain anybody. So, I mean, you could blow your mind. We're not in international water. We're technically a conglomerate group of okayed nations to be where we're at. There's a whole thing. Does that make us NATO? I don't know what this means. But where we're at, do you handle it? Is that your jurisdiction? I guess on jurisdiction you could do it, but she's done no crime.
No, she hasn't. I'm not saying she's a suspect.
So there is a medical wing. You can kind of get your foot in the door. I don't think they're gonna have a problem with you stopping by and seeing how she's doing. It's really up to the doctor whether or not she's fit to be seen by anybody. That I could tell you. I mean, you might be able to flash your badge and do whatever, but hey, did you hear what happened in the cafeteria?
No.
Negative.
Apparently, Lewis went into the cafeteria and told everybody that
What?
Lockheed was murdered. Yeah. Walked in and said Lockheed's dead. They said how, who killed him, and it was batshit crazy from there. And like, even if he had the name wrong, dropping that name and saying it, of course people were looking for Lockheed and where he would be, and when of course he's not answering a phone, and you fucking know why, as he will jab at your file as you're sitting on the cart.
All right.
Can you run a badge trace, Tilly? Can you tell me the last door he opened in this facility?
What, Lockheed?
No. Well, yes, but Lewis. You said he's not answering the phone.
Well, Lockheed's not answering the phone is what I meant. Like Lewis? I don't know. I haven't tried calling him.
Okay.
It's funny you say that though, because like I don't know where they went from that. I know Shannon came down and got him, and they walked maintenance actually. They went to the maintenance tunnel by the calf.
Is that a shortcut to somewhere?
Well, yeah, maintenance runs tunnels and byways for like, I don't know, plumbing and shit. That's It's a facility underwater. You like being crushed? I don't. I also don't like a beluga whale camping in my bed. So I mean, I guess that's what maintenance does.
Right.
I'm just talking here. Yeah. I could find him. You need me to find him?
I would like to know why he was telling everyone our super secret story while we were trying to get to the bottom of this and/or protect an old friend. Yeah, I'd
Joff,
like to know.
let's you and I find him and talk to him. You said he went to the maintenance tunnel. If you can check to see if he popped out anywhere else, let us know. We're gonna head there now.
Yeah, you want to walk there now?
No,
Yeah.
we
So
desperately
he'll
need a
start
fucking
driving.
ride.
Like you can walk there now, laughing as you starts, puts it in gear. As you start heading off. But you'll hear how this process works. You'll just see him. He's like, hey, excuse me, headquarters. You got me on camera? And you'll hear, yeah, Eric. This is Ted. I got you. What do you need? So yeah, I'm escorting guests over to maintenance tunnel. We're trying to find where Lewis is. It's went from the calf on. He says, yeah, you mean Gardner? He's like, yeah. It's really weird. Like, I don't know, like 15, 20 minutes ago, he accessed maintenance. Yeah, I know that, Dad. Did he go anywhere else? Nah, in fact, he didn't leave. But, like, there's a maintenance tunnel that came. You want us to rewind it back? He's like, yeah. Just let us know where it is. We're going to take him to the tunnel over there. We'll kick him off in the area. And this process goes on. It's about maybe 5 minutes after. He's like, yeah, he's in the hatch, but he's in the undeveloped. What is that? What do you call that? Corridor? I don't know if it's in maintenance. Is it a corridor still, or is it officially a corridor when it's finished? You fucking hear Eric? I don't know, Ted. I don't know what it's fucking called, but you have a camera that's there set up? He's like, yeah, who's there? It just shows Lewis leaving, but Shannon didn't come out of it.
What?
And Eric will, oh, thanks, Ted. So he'll drive over to a nearby hatch. Regardless, hatches being what they are, they're not too terribly complicated to get over to a section close to it. You guys will be let out in maintenance to deploy into this tunnel. We'll be heading promptly there. However, back at the ranch, Mr. Grand, Aiden Grand, I do believe a long-awaited message you were, not even a message. What were we doing after we had our meeting with Mr. Weiss?
After meeting with Mr. Weiss, he would try to have contacted Shannon.
For reasons you already know because you've been listening,
Yeah.
Shannon's been a bit busy. So after you did, I'm not saying that she can't send a message. What I'm saying is that she does not pick up, or he does not pick up immediately.
Yeah. Upon not being picked up, Aiden would just send a text that says, like, got some juicy deets, need to meet ASAP.
Shannon, there's nothing better to do unless you're going to go on a wild run through the maintenance tunnel, which, I'll be fair, you can't even open a door to. A facility like this, there's only so many places you could go. You could try to make your way down or whatever, but you are going to notice a recent message that you'll get that backs up the previous message of apparently Aiden has been trying to get a hold of you. Which is ironic because you did try to call Aiden before you were attacked.
I'm assuming we have.
And I mean,
And you just muted yourself, sir.
So I'm assuming Gardner had left at this moment.
He did. Like I said, Phantom of the Opera left. What that means
Right.
is he's got shit to do, and it's play a piano in a darkened place. Excuse me, an organ somewhere where everyone can hear him.
Shannon will pick up the phone. He'll pick up the phone and take a look at the message and dial out to Aiden.
Aiden, your phone will ring. You'll easily. It's a la Yammer as he's trying to do the equivalent of FaceTime.
Aiden will pick up the phone and be like, Shannon, hard to get in touch with.
Aiden, could you hear me?
Yeah, that's how phones work, man.
No. You don't get it. Lewis broke. He flipped out. He has me tied up and in this side entrance tunnel to some sort of maintenance thing. He's trying to find Creel because he feels that Creel has been lying to us, and I don't know what he's going to do to Creel, but he has me locked up here. He's not going to hurt me, but I don't think he's going to let me out either until he figures out what he's going to do with Creel.
Well, shit. Tell me where you're at, and I'll come and get you out of there. I'm sorry. I knew that cocktail weenie would break one of these days.
The closest entryway, and Shannon will explain where the first maintenance hall was. And there was another hall in between, but I don't know which door from there. But that's the only one I know that we walked in through.
All right, I'll try and make my way over. And
Well, don't. He might be considered dangerous. He's not going to hurt me. I never said he might not hurt you. You might want to get in contact with Creel and Porter.
I'm not afraid of Lewis. Are you kidding me?
Don't underestimate him.
Don't underestimate me, Shannon. I'm here. I'll protect you. And then he'll hang up.
Well, Shannon, it's good to be wanted, and it's good to know Gran going to handle it, right? That's what that is, 100%. With that being said, Gran, I'm actually going to give you a stability. I think it's reaffirming to bolster your own confidence with the exact reasoning of the relationship you two have, to make that a viable thing, as you now with renewed purpose are going to try to get exactly to where he is. One catch. Maintenance tunnels are not exactly your thing. It's not where you're at as an acquisitions guy. But maybe you could tell me how you might find a way to get down there. How's Gran going to be able to navigate or quickly get to or gain access to a place that, well, an engineer can get to?
Well, I do have this advantage. I don't know if it applies here, but I have the escape artist advantage, which basically I would think would allow me to maybe navigate through the tunnels, maybe get into them without access.
I like the attempt, if nothing else. So go ahead and give me your escape artist as a bypass, we'll say.
Uh-oh.
Here's the thing. You were 100% certain that you could do this. That this is you got this. There's no worry, no hope of a problem. Your plan is solid. You decide you're going to go back to the kitchen. It's a great idea. Kitchen help has to have to know different byways and dispose of a lot of things. There's tubes that go there. They got to know somebody somewhere is going to stop by, and maybe they'll know how to get to where you have to go. And you luck out. There are indeed workers hanging out there in the cafeteria, getting some coffee on break, eating their lunch for the day, and you waste no time having a chat with them. And due to a role I'm going to give you in advance, we're just going to say this is a gimme to help make this make sense. You offer the world. Whatever you need, I'll owe you one. I need to borrow your card. This guy goes, for what? And you literally tell him, says, look, there's something I got to do and store for a bit, but I'm going to cut you in if you could help me out. And you just say it real quick. And the con you are, he's like, yeah, all right. You just bring it back in 5 minutes. You're like, yep. Get the key. You go over. You hit the maintenance access. You open the door. You leave it open for a second to run back to the caf and hand it to him. He gets the card. You go back. The hatch is still open. And you pull it closed behind you. And that's when you realize you fucked up. Now this caf, right, the hatch by it, right? You shield it shut. You don't have a way out. You're down here on the phone. This kind of sucks, right? You don't even know if you're going the right way at this point. You just know you told Shannon I'm a coming, and you're not going to head down this tunnel. Is it left? Is it right? Maybe it's the right way. You're not certain as you start walking, and hoping you're going to run into this guy. The tunnels in and of themselves, these are not. How do I put this? They're not skyscraper height tunnels, right? This is maybe 12 to 13 feet in height, and I'd say the width is about the same. And it's designed to let some objects be pulled down there, some equipment get pulled down there, small objects can be carried, and those that are heavier will be put on girders and maybe some sort of rail pulley system. Most likely put on wheels. You've seen that smuggled before, just such an option, a little sled, and the pallets go on it. Pulled down the hall. Based on that, you begin to navigate your way down the tunnels in the hopes that you'll run into your beloved Shannon, and we'll get there according to record time. However, as you are lost in space, is what we're going to call it, we're going to fold back here to the ranch, and this is why. Lewis, you're going to have no problem gaining access to your room, getting inside. The problem is that you have to do it in such a rush to slam the door behind you, and it's because you began to hear what was just a silent murmur. That's what it was initially. It just sounds like a bunch of people like, oh, yeah, yeah. And then it goes from that mumbling to, it's Garner. It's all like, yeah, I saw him just now. He's, I don't know. Let's get his ass. Get his ass. And you turn to look once or twice, and it's weird to you because you'll see like a normal person, hey, Lewis, just kind of walking by, right, heading to their own makeshift hovel, as they have it, their own home base, as it were, their apartment. And 2 or 3 people in the hall, kind of sparse. A lot of people are working. That's just how it works out. And not for you. Now you're starting to hear the voices, and it sounds like stuff. People are running down the hall, coming your direction. You see the shadows as they're sprinting, and they're coming, dude. And when they shout, he's just kill his ass. Why is he telling everybody? Like telling everybody. And you run into your room, you shut the door. You're like, okay, I'll put the couch up, except the couch is bolted down for safety reasons. I'll just take the bed and I'll move it. We can't do the bed, but I could do the thin ass mattress. Shit. This is like the worst. Wait a minute. This is designed to handle pressure in emergency. No one's getting through that door by kicking it down. It doesn't matter until there is a thump of such immensity as to put a dent in the door. This is solid steel, pressurized. It's literally designed if let's say a tube broke or water came rushing in and came throughout the tunnels. It's designed to give you a perfect seal of oxygen and withstand that pressure to maybe last a good 10, 20 hours, depending on it, what tubes are damaged and all that jazz. And as you're running it through your head, when you see a dent in the door, it's as if part of you gives way and you just have a seat in the bed. And you reach over and you grab your pills. Do you OD? Roll keep it together, sir.
All right. Keep it together. Will be my new favorite role.
For the miracle it is, when you just drop a bunch of pills on your mouth, you spit out a lot of them. And remember, you're like, look at the bottle, it's two blue pills. You take them and you start chewing on them because I missed a dose, so I'll double up. What's the worst that could happen? And you drink it with water as you're sitting there. You're like, you just start counting out loud. And as you're counting out loud, you hear what sounds like chains clinking on the floor and odd phrases. You do pick up. Do the ritual. Gardner, do the ritual. Complete the cycle. You'll hear that shouted through the door. And you'll hear another voice tell you, you're not crazy, sweetheart. We're just waiting for you. Figure it out. And that's when you know you're nuts. Right? It's various stages of people yelling at the heights, whispering secrets to you, stuff you can't make out, some stuff you do, just crazy things. Someone even tells you to kill yourself and make it easier because living here is hell. And you don't know who the hell or what that means. And at that point, you're like, okay, we're just going to put it back in the drawer and I'm going to sit and wait for this shit to kick in. I don't need this kind of stress. Shannon will be there. And you're confident more than ever. You stored him in your hideaway.
Yeah.
He'll be pissed. And you're trying to work that out. How to make up with your lover. Pull out your phone, kind of type it in. How to get back when you've abused your loved one. What do you do? And silly things you try to distract yourself with as you're there. However, for the agents, lid gets popped. You start, you can't fit the cart in there. Not the full golf cart anyway to turn and get it going. He doesn't try. But he hops out and he starts walking along and it's a lot of communication. Like, am I going the right way? Yeah, keep going. I got you in camera 40. You're heading down over 39, 38, just some weird ass countdown. And It's a process. All in all, gentlemen, it's about another hour and a half. It takes you walking this facility on foot to get to the right places because you don't have maintenance X with you to be kind of mentally broken and know the shortcuts.
Mm.
But for Shannon, it's almost comical to hear them. It's like 3 security guys is what we're going to call them, right? It's you get your buddy Creel, you can hear Porter, and you got whoever this head of IT. Oh, you remember? Oh, it's Tillinghast. Oh, you remember it? He hates his wife. His wife's fake as hell. The head of PR, he can't stand it. You know, his issue is he believes he was married because of his IT. That's it. Because he's the one he talked to you about some bullshit editing program. She had him on to help her look better than people were on TV. I.e., he believed that he could make a lot of her blemishes go away without makeup. He could. It's not the point. You get the idea, but you're laughing your ass off to hear his jittery ass just kind of go, look, just keep counting down out loud so I can hear it. You hear over his radio the countdown of cameras. Like, did you see him? Did Shannon move? Says, no, Lewis is in his room. What's that? Yeah, Lewis is in his room right now. Took some pills. He's laying back in his bed. I think he's looking at his phone. How long has he been there? Way longer than 10 minutes. Like, you gonna get there? Maybe you should jog. And you'll hear this banter. Fuck you, I'm not running. You know how long this facility is? Let me bring a bottle of water. You hear that stuff. He's like, I work IT. Like, he constantly says that. Like, he's trying to use the comedic value of the moment to kind of deaccelerate. You get that.
Right.
But it's not long before you guys round the corner. And it's almost laughable. Shannon is tied with a belt around both wrists. Looks pretty snug. Loops over a rail. Comes back up and is tied in, except for one fact. For you, Agent Grill, it is laughable. If he really wanted to, it's a belt. Pull hard enough. It might have bruised your wrist, but you might have got the latch up if you worked at it. Maybe, I don't know, free yourself at some point. Instead, he opted to be on the phone
to
messaging.
be saved?
He's messaging people. When you're around the corner, his hand in front of him.
I guess that was a really long Yammer post. That I'll get up and undo the belt.
Thank you.
Jesus, Shannon. I thought Lewis killed you.
No, he's just very, very disturbed right now. He may or may not be coming after you. He had some things to say about you. I'd rather not share at the moment. The best
Lewis
I can tell
might
you,
be coming after. Okay.
yes, he doesn't seem to trust you. I told him that you were looking out in our best interest. Oh, by the way, hey, Mr. Tillinghast, thank you so much for leading them here.
Tillinghast will be standing there looking at you sideways. You know what I mean? Like, he's got those conspiracy eyes. He's looking at you, looking at them, looking at you. Like, yeah, no problem.
He'll look back over to Porter. Aiden's lost somewhere, or might be lost. They're coming. He said he was coming for me, but I don't know when he's supposed to come for me.
Yeah, well, my badge don't open shit down here, and I definitely don't have a magical directions radio. So,
all right, I'll call him. Shadow will
Telling
call
us
you.
to look at you, magical directions radio. It's a radio.
It's magical.
Yeah. Just nod his head. As Aiden, your phone will ring, which damn near terrifies you. You're not expecting that in the hall when you're running to your bow's safety.
Oh, holy shit. Shannon, are you okay still?
I'm okay. Telling
I'm
us
coming.
Porter.
I'm coming. I'm in the tunnels.
Where?
They're tunnels, man. I don't know. They just look like tunnels.
He'll put her on speakerphone. Aiden, I need to let me know, where are you? Because we can help find you.
And Aiden will like turn his flashlight function on his phone and like kind of look for like if there's any numbers or anything that tells him what tunnels he's in.
There's not numbers. What it is that as you're going by, well, let me rephrase that. There's not numbers to be like, you're here, number
Right.
so-and-so, right? You're going by and it looks like there's pipe work, and on the piping, someone wrote in chalk what that meant when they put it in, right? This workers can't. is kind of throughout this facility because maintenance knows where maintenance is going, right? An electrician was once here, right? With that, and someone, of course, drew the long nose that said Kilroy was here at some point. You'll find that, but you definitely don't see anywhere else where it's like, okay, maintenance hatch number 12. It takes you a minute. You can't figure out a system beyond the fact that, okay, there's a letter and then there's a lid number. And that's on the immediate outside of the door, right? You know where the doors are connected with the big wheels and whatnot. And you can definitely spot them by the hatch and the key code card. But they're few and far between. We're like maybe, well, you can count by that. It's about 4 or 5 minutes between each other. They got various access ports, and they're not all on the ground. A lot of them, in fact, are above. And you figured that out a while ago. Because you would flood this area for some of what they do. And that's where they would do a lot of testing. Everything in an underwater facility, for maintenance-wise, is designed to be tested to handle underwater. And so they build it as if it is underwater, so if it ever is that emergency, they're already able to handle it. Otherwise, someone comes down here with a mini step ladder and fixes whatever they need to. And it's good to go. You get that logic. However, to spare you the headache, it is a simple matter. As he's going in, calling out numbers of where it is in maintenance, you'll hear Tillinghast go, "Hey, Ted, where the hell is he? Just find him on camera." And he's like going, yeah, he's somewhere, but yeah, he's just past 18. He's going the wrong way. He says, yeah, correct. That is the wrong way. You tell him he's got to walk. I'm not running to get him. But he needs to meet us back about, tell him to meet us here. Tell him to go past 43 and stop. We'll let Ted call it out to him. Just tell him to keep his phone open. Ted will walk. We'll get him in.
Hey, you'll want to get yourself over from the numbers that you're counting up to about 43 and then stop. We'll let you know when to keep going.
Okay.
You were heading in the opposite direction.
Fuck. Okay. Great. And Aiden will follow instructions and start going in the proper direction with the instructions.
It's easy enough. And why I say easy enough is that when he's like, yeah, just listen to him. Obviously, call ends because overhead you can hear it picking up, and it's really loud through the phone anyway. As you'll hear, Mr. Grand, this is Ted in security. I hear you're a little lost. You're just going to want to turn around and go the opposite direction to the nearest maintenance hatch we can let you out at. And because obviously unlocking the door is not good enough. There's also, never mind. Just keep walking. It'll be a bit. And you're following instruction.
Yep.
Are you guys going to wait for him to catch up, or are you just going to continue talking? Your call.
Well, I'll
let him catch up.
Yeah, we'll wait for him to catch up.
Talk about awkward silence. I only say it's awkward because obviously you guys have been walking everywhere. You're finally by Shannon. Shannon's free. There's a lot of thick air, we'll call it.
Free.
People want to say something, and a couple of times, let's just wait till he gets here. And it's like, yeah. You even got Tillinghast like, sure. Okay. Looking around, everybody kind of does this awkward pacing as eventually, Gran, hurt feet, tired, annoyed, you round the corner and you can, I'd say you probably spot Tillinghast. He's a pacer. And you'll see him kind of poke his head out and look. There he is. We're over here. Hear him call down the hall and then kind of guiding you in. And Ted still does it. And he probably does it to be annoying. Right? You see him down the hall at 39. Ted's like, you're at 40, Mr. Grand. It's about 41, 42. Turn to left. And you'll hear Tillinghast, yeah, thanks, Ted. We're good. We're all good. Just, hey, there's no camera there. Do you want me to at least stay on audio? No, Ted, we're fine.
Thanks, Ted.
Yeah. Thank you, Ted. I can see where I'm going now.
And you hear it get squelched. You're pretty certain you're solo at this moment.
And Aiden will walk over and just be like, Shannon, I'm so happy that you're not murdered.
No, Lewis just a little disturbed right now. He just needed his meds. He seemed to believe that Agent Creel here was a bad influence on all of us. I think we should probably just get something to eat, and discuss what went down.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think eating solves everyone's problems today.
Wait. You just said our buddy is chemically imbalanced and just committed a kidnapping? And okay.
I mean, we could go look for him. The only thing I will say is that he may act hostile towards Creel. But I think with enough of us around, he might not do something rash, at least publicly.
Well, I mean, Ted said something about pills, and like, you know what? I'm not an investigator at all. I'm the help. Don't mind me.
Yeah, I mean, guy's off his rocker. I mean, it's not a secret around here. I mean, at least not my secret.
Tillinghast will just
Yeah.
what? What? This guy's in the maintenance fucking team, and you knew he was.
Well, I mean, yeah,
Yeah, you mean
Positions.
yeah?
I figured it was. He's got reports and stuff. Why wouldn't you know, Tillinghast?
Why wouldn't I know
Jesus
Tillinghast?
Christ.
I don't know. I suppose the same reason why I trust the process. I don't do the hiring. I don't do the security clearance. What I get told is that people have security clearance, right? And that's why maintenance gets a badge. You know who just lost his badge access? I know a
Look.
psycho that you know doesn't get badge access anymore. I know that much.
Well,
You got my back, Ted? You'll hear him shout that out, and there's no response. They'll be like, Ted, Gardner is insane. Gardner's
No.
insane. Pull it.
No, don't treat him like that. It would only make the situation worse. Listen, we'll go talk to him. We'll get the
Eric will hold his
situation-
hand up. No,
No.
he won't go talk to him. He
No,
won't go talk
Tillinghast
to him.
is right. You pull that. Can that keep him out of the mess hall too?
Yeah, I don't care if it does. You can bring him a sandwich to his room.
Yeah, that's fine. That's much better than him blabbing everything to everyone. Yeah, we can go talk to him, Shannon.
You're looking at something, DJ, on screen. I'll give you a minute. I don't know if you were planning on doing something, but I don't want to role play past if you have an action.
He'll. That's more better role play. He'll look to Creel a moment. He's like, "Can I have a word with you for just a second, please?"
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Why not?
And he'll grab Creel by the hand and bring him off over to the corner for a second. And he'll put his back to the crowd and look at Creel. He'll cross his arms and shift his stance so it relies on one leg as he's posing. And he'll whisper softly. Whereas Lewis has an issue right now. Lewis is our only connection inside of maintenance. He has access to the things that we need. He could prove our innocence in this case.
Had access to it. He also attacked you and tied you up.
He wasn't going to hurt me.
Famous
He
last
wasn't gonna
words.
hurt you. Okay. He's also I am trying to figure out what happened. I am trying to get you and everyone to be cleared of this because I don't believe any of you actually did it.
I know,
Lewis
but
is fucking that up.
I need to talk to him. It's the only way we'll be able to calm him down. He also has some information. And he'll lean in and he'll whisper in Creel's ears. He remembers what happened at the police station.
What?
He'll simply back up a moment and then say, "We need him."
Mr. Creel, I think this is a pivotal moment. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it is too.
I think I want to keep it together for certain.
Yeah, I really wish I didn't have a -2 for this.
Oh, but that's the best part. You just ride that.
Ooh. Ooh.
Oh,
What we're gonna say here is that for a thing this lovely, what I want to say to you, Shannon, right now is that if you got the heebie-jeebies from Lewis, right? It is the cold stare that you get immediately from Creel being nice guy, Creel helping you out, Creel, everything's okay, Creel. You say it like that, and he's like, what? And then he'll look up, and beside himself, he goes, well, that means you remember it too then. And he says it just like that, in such a way, and he'll just get calm suddenly and just stare right at you. And just be like, okay, yeah, I guess you're right. Like, he's real compliant. For you, Creel, on the inside, your mind's made up. It's a done deal immediately. You see, beforehand, nothing happened. It was years. Nothing was said. Nothing was figured out. No one said a word. Oh, now? Oh, there are loose ends. You always knew there would be. You just didn't think that it would be this she that would be that way. What a waste. Yeah, it could be attractive, but get the surgery done. And you feel that in this moment acutely. Like, just really hard up losers you wrap around your finger. You're going to sit like the most seething negative thought about Shannon is just peeled you manage to keep it on the inside. You believe. And that's okay, but you make your mind up. You know, down here accidents happen.
Mm-hmm.
And you just stare and you look and you feel it isolated. So it's Lewis and Shannon, no problem. However, Shannon, due to the nature of things, you are someone who gets it that this is a psychotic break. He's not doing anything about it yet, is it? You're not certain. And you know what? You've been having emotional issues, and you were not so long ago you were on some pills to help you. Like, you're not certain what's going on. Maybe. Ah, shit. I shouldn't have to tell you, Shannon. You know, I fucked up. It's like you even think about what you said. Did you just try to blackmail him? What if he took it that way? And it definitely seems he did.
As my last ditch effort, I will attempt to perpetual victim. The words that he'll tell him is like, listen, we took care of each other before, we'll take care of each other now. That's why I trust you with this. You understand, right?
Well, I love this. The question is, Brennan, do you feel Creel would resist this?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. He doesn't want to believe. However, it may not matter. To that end, you're trying to assist, which is honestly just a roll. It's 2d10. Similar roll. You're making a charisma-based roll, Creel.
Oh.
Okay.
Charisma-based roll. Oh, yay.
You're rolling perpetual victim, just so you know, Shannon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Whoo! Well, you definitely got 3 options, sir.
I will choose all 3.
All right. Tell me how you do it. We'll get used to this, guys. But basically, your moves are literally what you're saying happens. So when you get what you want, when you see that you got 3 moves to select it, narrate it. What does he say?
How
do you weave that in?
Shannon will look to Creel, and when he sees it, he'll press gently on his hands as if holding it out to someone who's asking for help. Please, I understand. I didn't say anything. No one will say anything. We took care of each other before. We could be able to take care of them again. But you can't let them get to me, because if you do, then this all falls apart. Listen, I need your help.
What I will say to this crew, how it feels, just help Brennan react to this. We know it's a role. We know he's afflicting something, but Creel doesn't. By the nature of the role, Creel feels the raw, real emotion of the fact that he's got a point. The fact that he knew about it so long and kept confidence, you wouldn't fault him for trying to use it later on, especially seeing what you're doing now. In fact, that's a great hook. If this guy got in trouble, and then suddenly you put it together. This is why you were called in to do this investigation. You get it now. It's just Shannon absolutely knows a fuck ton more about this murder than he's been letting on, and that's why he called you in. It's clearly the blackmail. This guy's your Judas. He fucking did the murder, or he damn well knows who did. But this is literally, you got dirt on him, he's got dirt on you. It's the perfect alibi. Your only problem in this is Lewis.
If I'm going to protect you, Lewis has to go. Not just for what he did to you or what he said about me, but if he tells anyone else, that takes down everyone, Shannon.
Okay.
Don't you
Okay.
remember
How
the
about
game, the
I
last
remember
one we played? Do you?
Shannon pauses
You're
for a
not
moment.
telling you, Shannon, I'm going to protect you. I'm going to do that. But in order to do that, Lewis can't be a loose end because that's not a loose end for me. That's a loose end for us. All of us that played that game. And you know more about what happened in that room than you've told me. And in order for me to protect you, I have to know what that is.
I will tell you if you promise me that we won't get into any further trouble.
I can only promise that if Lewis is gone. He's already told, he already tried to tell everyone about Lockheed, which means that week time frame we got is a lot shorter now.
Okay. Then he'll squeeze his hand. Agreed.
Okay. While this is going on, sort of a deal with the devil, if I ever heard one, that occurs. There is something that's off, Grant. You're out there with Eric, and you're standing there, and they go down the hall and to the left to have their privacy. And like anybody cool with friends, and wow, we're safe. Shannon's okay. All right, Creel wants to talk to Shannon. It makes sense. He's the investigator. He's here to do it. He's probably going to want to know what happened. And fuck, you want to know what happened. Why was he kidnapped? What happened? Maybe we'll get those details in a second. However, that's not your focus right now. Your focus right now is when you see Porter just kind of. So he looks at Eric Tillingus and goes, "So you security around here, huh?" He's like, "Yeah." And you say, "This section here is off camera," and that right there on your shoulder that determines whether anybody can hear us. He's like, "Yeah, you knew that. I said that like way back there." It's like, "Yeah, that's good, man. That's good." So he'll pull his gun and cock it. And he goes, "I'm going to tell you right now, me and Mr. Graham want you to play a little game of shut the fuck up." And he'll, okay. He's like, "Why don't you take that radio and put it on the ground?" And he'll unclip it. So here you go. Mr. Porter, we could have gave you access to wherever you want. No, you're going to give me whatever the hell I want because I'm the one with the bullets. That's how this is played. And we ain't shouting it. Because they're over there with their private chat, and we have one too. And I imagine a bullet through here going to be real deafening. But I know this much: if I got to lay a bunch of people out, it's going to be in a section nobody can see what happened. You know what I mean? He's like, "Hey, there's no laying out needed. We're here, and we're good. We're just whatever you need." He's like, "Hey, Gran." I said, "Hey, Gran.
Yeah, Porter.
I know you was down with the dirt back in the day, right?"
Yeah. What do you mean down in the dirt?
Down. Oh, we're going to be coy now. Listen, why don't you get that lighter fluid out of your back pocket? Like I know you be carrying around all the damn time. Come on now. You came around my place all the time with my rug-headed son, and you would bring out this damn thing, and you fill up them Zippo lighters acting like I didn't know y'all were trying to smoke squares at the back of my fucking house. Give me the goddamn fluid.
And he'll reach into his back pocket and he'll pull out the Zippo lighter fluid.
That's good. That's good. Don't worry, I'm gonna pay for it. I'm good for it, baby. Don't worry about it. But you come over to my side though. Just come over to my side, stand behind me. Don't get squirrely.
Yeah, Aiden's got his hands up at this point, like, and he's just like slowly like backtracking to get on Porter's side.
And you'll see him look at him. He says, Mr. Tillingus, I got a question." It's like, "Yeah, my son's gonna wonder why you like the Wizard of Oz so much." And you'll see him start squirting Tillingas' shirt, hitting him in the face with it. Tillingas like, "What the fuck?" Which is what you guys hear around the corner, just "what the fuck," but not anything odd. You're in the middle of a conspiracy at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Just about the time you guys are shaking hands, talking low, you hear that. However, It's when the screaming erupts. That's the difference here. And for you, Mr. Grand, you have your hands up, and you have a brief window of opportunity. He has a gun, and he's pointing it at him. When he drops the fluid on the ground, you can try to be a hero. But you see him pull a Zippo out as if he's going to light it. It's up to you what you choose to do. Now, we all like options. Eric Tillingus is the head of IT and security of this whole facility. You have the opportunity to maybe, while he's on fire, get a key card with access to wherever, because this is going to work wherever it go. You know that. This helps out a lot, in particular with a certain doctor who just did something to you, and you're certain of that. Or you can try to save the head of security, win him over, because that naturally is going to believe you that you wanted to help him the whole time after you gave him the lighter fluid. Right? There's that too. And it's a split-second decision. But I need you to weigh those, because as a player, it's up to you what Gran chooses to do with himself. But I'll remind you, at this point, you've never been more fascinated, because you thought Porter was just some jock. Right now, he's probably the most fascinating person you've ever met in your life. He's completely off the chain. And I'm no lying for you. It's like TV. He's not going to do it, is he? If you want to know what that's like, you ever seen a video of a bunch of people watching a fight and recording on their phone versus getting help or breaking up the fight?
Yeah.
That's exactly how Gran feels at this moment. Front row seats.
Yeah, Grand would try and stop it. He doesn't want to see a man burned alive.
All right. At this point, and it's going to be fun for you, you got to do that harm, son. That's how it is. The intent, though, is when you stop it is how you intend to stop it. That's important. So you don't have to necessarily injure him, or you can try to beat the shit out of him, or you can try to wrestle him to the ground. How do you intend to do this?
I'd like to look at him and say look, Porter, you and me both know you ain't gotta do this, man. And I want to use violent stare.
You absolutely can do that.
Or
Go
deadly
ahead
stare, I'm sorry.
and make your deadly stare, sir. What you're going to realize is two things. The first thing is, and maybe this isn't shocking to you, but I really certainly hope it is. For the moment, you may not have seen Porter in a while. He's never talked that way. He's never acted that way. You do
Right.
remember who it was. His dad, Davis Porter, which is always odd that he was a Davis to you. Davis was an abusive stockbroker, you thought? Or no. Construction guy. Like owned construction, you think? Like, yeah, that's right. Porter Construction. It's like all over your small town. Did a lot of municipality buildings, bought up a lot of contracts, had that. This guy was always not working. By the way you saw it, he was always being foreman or coming by. He's the owner, not necessarily the employee. And because of that, that's his privilege. But man, was he a dick to Porter quite often. Even when you were over his big house, it was thought that rubbing elbows with you, kid to kid, you and Porter would get along, but you never did. Because Porter didn't have your life. Whenever he came over to your place, he saw the shit you had, and definitely wasn't anything that he had, which shocked you considering the money. And that's maybe as close as you guys had. And so, not embarrassment, but you know what I mean? We don't have this. We have the same maybe lifestyle, but we don't live it the same. So you never quite brought it up. And anyways, it was the parents who were rubbing elbows. But you got Porter, right? He had to excel, right, do his thing, whatever he could to get out of town. You kind of felt that energy too, which is how you guys even started playing together. This Fade world with this Shannon. It's an escape. But that's not the point. When you lock eyes with him to give him that stare, you're looking in the cold eyes of something that isn't him. It certainly isn't him. And you'll also get the fact that Porter is scared. Let me take that back. It's not scared that I want to say it is of you. Whatever's going on, it's like he comes to. But that's not before he throws the Zippo on the ground. and it is lit. And when it hits, it lights up this guy, right? Just like you hoped it wouldn't do. But for you, Porter, it's hard as you're looking in the face of Grand, and there's tears coming down Porter's eyes, and you get that, Grand, because this time, Porter, you're aware. You are aware that you did all this. The words coming out of your mouth, what you did, pulling your gun, the anger you felt. Why are you so angry and so angry at Grand and this guy telling us to? You never even known this guy, but you knew he's going to remember who you were. And you're screaming and tell yourself to stop, and you couldn't. But when you looked at Grand, it's the stare he gives you. When you're Porter again, and you're seeing him, there's something you didn't know about Grand that you'll understand ever more going forward. He is more than seen some shit. He is not somebody who sat on the sidelines of whatever he got involved in and never participated. He's been on one end of a gun. He maybe even has shot somebody. He might have even killed a couple people and hasn't said anything. He's that caliber of a person by the look he's giving you. And to that end, you're really comfortable with having a gun in your hand. However, you just realized he tried to get you to not do what you just did. But you also know, how do you tell him that you had no control over dropping the Zippo? It's not an absence of thought. It was you had no control of yourself. But moot point for Mr. Tillinghast, as there is now loud, ear-piercing screams in the hall as Eric Tillinghast is rolling around trying to put himself out and can't. Stop, drop, and roll works shitty on a vented floor, right? It's just a grading system, and it's designed to do opposite. Airflow is what this place is designed for. As he's lit well and on, as he's trying to pat himself and get it out and making it worse. As what are we going to attempt to do, folks? As we're kind of staring and seeing and in shock.
When I hear that screaming, I will run over. When I see he's on fire, I'll rip off that jacket I have and try to put him out with it.
Absolutely. To that end, anybody else?
Yeah, I'm going to follow suit and try and take off my jacket in order to help put out the flames.
Right.
Okay.
Shannon will do the same.
So, because it is the person who said first, which is Brennan is going to actually make this roll. This is working under pressure, Brennan. That's the move you're doing, and you're trying to get that done. However, everybody else can make a roll. Mike, I would remind you of Survivalist.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You should be making a roll, and really you should have been the major one in. But per the rules, Brennan acted first, which is golden. Everyone who wants to help can simply give me a move roll to assist. That's how that works.
Do I roll before they do, or do I wait?
You can roll, because it doesn't matter. If they win, it's +2.
I was hoping this would be reflexes or something, but coldness makes sense.
God damn, 7?
Yeah, fuck, man.
I have never rolled higher than 12.
Oof. Fate sometimes has it in for you, but it's telling us his time. Porter, you see the ashy footsteps of everybody around, telling us as he's burning. Not him having ashy footsteps. As everybody's moving and scrambling, trying to put him out, you see it slowly ashing as if it's raining on the inside. Droplets of ash all over where he is. You also feel an icy chill. That is your own hands, despite the flames, as you're trying to pat him out and put him down. Here's the problem with the horrible aspect of this flame. Maybe it's the hall. Maybe it's the way it's constructed. Maybe there's an oxygen link. Now the whole facility would go up. You're trying to rationalize this, Porter, and you begin to understand. Just like in war, whenever you've been at the worst of circumstances, the most horrible of places, you've never been able to control when someone dies, but you've always been there to watch it without fail, and you've witnessed it. And this is the same thing, although this is the first time you've ever caused it, and we're aware of it. And the horrible aspect is maybe you've been aware of it the whole time. To that end, for you, Porter, it is a -2 to your stability. This is because you're haunted at this point of just not just this. There are many incidents where you begin to wonder if they worked like you rationalized they did, or if maybe you caused it. You remember the circumstance, the ashen feet. The most standout point was when you left the military. Honorable discharge. It was your job. to go in and defend this political diplomat from insurgency. He was supposed to walk in. He was an imam. He was supposed to negotiate on behalf of the United States. And yes, it was the Taliban. But the Taliban extremists are not necessarily every single one of them terrorists. You know, they'll rattle a saber or two when they need to, and definitely there are extremists in that group that do what they do, and they have extreme beliefs. But this is an attempt to kind of bridge the gap and end all that bullshit, like an attempt to stop it. And your job is just to escort them in and facilitate the negotiation. That's not what happened. When he walked in, you saw his footprints were more than ash, and you bore witness to the fact that whatever he did, it was wrong of him to have done because these people whipped him to death. A process that took them half of a day to do so, and they turned him upside down. Now, you never understood the religious aspect of being upside down tied to a post, but you do know what it takes for a whip. To whip the flesh off of a person to the bone and the spine, to see it cut through muscle, to cut through fat, to whip someone so hard so often that each lash, after the lost count of over 100, that person doesn't even flinch and moan anymore. They're just meat on the pole. And they still went. 5 men they rotated to have the energy to do that. And they filmed it all. And the simple fact was, he was American. You remember that distinctly. They told you that when they gave you his body to take back. That the American government had taken a soldier that looked close to passing for being a local. And it let him grow the beard. They let him get indoctrinated. He'd been living amongst them for a better part of 2 years. And they allowed him to believe whatever he believed. And he thought he was deep cover. They knew the whole time. And you realize that now when they sent the body home. And they only sent you home, well, because quite frankly, you weren't as they see America. Of course, you're American, but you understood that the arrogance of them to make that assumption about them and their religious beliefs, that's what they couldn't stand. And this reminds you of that same thing. Because on the other end, you could have stopped him from going in. You could have shot him at any time. They didn't take your gun. They acknowledged you were there to be his protector, and you didn't say a word. In the debriefing, you told them they had taken your gun. In the debriefing, you had told them you stood down because they had more weapons than you. The reality is that when they took him from you and he walked, they had you sit outside initially, but then realizing when you didn't take your gun, you found yourself observing it. You don't remember walking over there. You don't remember watching it, but you have that memory now strong. And of the sneer you had on your face as you watched it happen. And at this moment, you feel sickened. You feel haunted. And he's burning. But there's a part of you that's so satisfied with the fact that he's burning. Because you could hear all over again. You remembered. He got what he deserved. Got what he deserved. This is where we're going to stop for tonight, guys. I think that's a good point. This is good stoppage points when a lot of things are revealed left and right and stuff starts popping off. And Gardner is the new psycho of the facility. I think that's golden. It's I think a couple people are in the running for that.
Shit.
It's fantastic, guys. To that end, what we're going to do is we're going to go over something kind of fun. Aha, you did. You're ahead of me, Brennan. I like it. So, for tonight in Dramatic Hooks, let's see. So, for the ST assigned ones, Brandon G. Didn't get that yet. Sully missed his for the moment. And by miss, it just means you didn't get to it yet.
Right. Oh, I will. Trust me. I had the dice command ready to go.
Interesting. DJ, you do gain +1 advantage, by the way, is what that is for your character off your advantage list for your archetype. You did indeed develop a relationship of trust with the veteran, whether it be by blackmail or otherwise.
With the veteran or the agent?
Sorry, with the you're right. Oh, take it back. You're right.
Right.
It's not the agent. It's the veteran. It's my bad. Very call. Not there yet. So we didn't get that either. Not that far.
Nope.
However, damn. Didn't get that either. Okay, gentlemen, this is something we'll point out at. For the moment, we didn't hit our points. I think
So
that's
close.
fair. I'll open it up for people who thought they did. I would say there are people who edged toward it, but we didn't hit them yet this game. Would you guys agree?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
To that end, because it is, we got now 5 sessions left of this game as the story is progressing. Believe it or not, that's why it's kind of climbing. Sort of the point. We'll get there. As you accomplish these points and objections, though, we can also rotate these out. Now, what I mean by rotate them out, for the person you assigned tonight, if you feel your objective was too hard or you couldn't hit it and you didn't see where a point would be, or in the relationship of Gardner and others, if relationships have changed now, which undoubtedly you may feel that, your objective might need to change. But you guys can change yours, but you can't change the ones I assigned you. But how it works is that Michelli would say, you know what? I'm going to change mine to Porter, and I'm going to give Porter this new one because I feel it's impossible for him to hit that one. And by you changing his, you also earn the right to change yours, but that means Mike gets to turn around and assign you one.
I'm not changing mine. I think that mine is pretty simple and straightforward. We just didn't get around to it.
I'll keep.
Brandon, I'll let you. Sorry to interrupt you, DJ.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, Brandon, you can tell me whether or not you believe you could still accomplish yours. I think you can, which is why I'll leave it as is.
Hey, that's up to you, man. You
I think you can do it. You definitely took some steps towards it.
All right. Well, if anybody in the meeting doesn't think of the changes later on that changes, that's fine. But for recording purposes, fellas, we're done. Do you have any comments or questions before we wrap up?
Yeah, why is it I always want to kill your characters, Michelli? Every time.
Let's see. You do have the you've killed my first 3 characters in when I joined this group.
Every time.
I'm hoping I can make it the last 5 sessions we got in this, cause woo!
Oh man. I just gave you a little bit of a distraction. You should be able to.
Well, he also just gave us the perfect murder hole. Like, you did this.
Yes!
Yeah, you did make the murder hole.
Is that what we're gonna? Okay, I like it. I like it when we're gonna start calling that.
Any other questions or comments?
I'm good.
Yeah,
We're
that was a
fucked.
great session. Yeah, that was a good session.
Yes.
Fantastic, folks. So then tune in next time. We'll see you in 2 weeks.